2024 NBA Draft, the Portland Trailblazers select Donovan Clingan from the University of Connecticut.
This is Dirt and Sprague.
We have a trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Portland Trailblazers are trading to the Washington Wizards the draft rights to Bub Carrington, the 14th pick.
With Andy Dirt Johnson and Brendan Sprague.
Yeah, man, I put a lot of work in. I'm doing 3 workouts a day right now throughout this, pre-draft process. Just really trying to get hundreds of shots up a day, just making sure my form is, consistent and, I'm knocking down shots consistently, you know what I mean? So, I'm just working my butt off, trying to be the best version of myself and the best player I can every single day.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, 6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan. Happy Thursday, June 27th.
What is happening?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling delightful, baby.
Looks like you're dropping some LBs. Those shirts are getting a little loose.
You like that? I'm in a really weird spot where I don't fit. Like, nothing fits.
That's because you're a fake fat.
Well, a lot of larges are too small, but a lot of larges fit perfectly. And a lot of extra larges fit perfectly, and a lot of extra larges are way too big. Does that make any sense?
No, I kind of want to push back and challenge a little bit. You do not at any way suggest somebody that fits into an extra large.
So half my polos are extra larges and half my polos are larges. Make that make sense. I just got 2 new polos in the last week.
Okay.
And I thought, of
course you need more.
Let's upgrade a little bit. Upgrade season. And they're both extra larges. One of them fits like a glove. Perfect. The other one, absolutely swimming in. And I got it, and I'm like, I can't wear this. I look like I'm wearing a tarp right now.
Same manufacturer? Or?
No, different companies.
Okay.
So I
that
try
makes
them on.
sense.
I just ordered them online and they got there.
Oh,
so,
see, that's why I hate online shopping.
I mean, it's not good. You don't know quite what size it's going to be. I hate because there's some larges in my closet. I put them on and I look like I'm wearing a schmedium, and I'm like, what happened here? Did this shrink? Is this weird sizing? Am I that fat? I don't know. And then you get an extra large sometimes, and it's like, dude. This is it's like a 90, man. I could sleep in this thing.
It looks pretty big.
This is a large.
Yeah, it looks too big for you.
Why can't we just have standardized sizing? Why is there not just one size? Shoes, clothes, an 11 is an 11. Why does some shoes fit in as an 11, but in other shoes I'm an 11.5 or a 10.5?
I mean, you are striking a chord that I think a lot of people deal with. I deal with this in a different way as well. But you're also reminding me of a thing I saw on Instagram a couple weeks ago where this stand-up comedian gal was basically talking about this epidemic of men who, like, when they go out on a nice night, their wife dresses super sexy and hot, and they're like, you dress sexy too, and they come out with a golf polo on.
You're damn right I do.
And she goes, I don't know when the golf polo went from just golf to, like, now I'm dressed nice.
That turn you on right there? Huh? You like that, honey?
She was clowning it, basically.
Come on, I'm going to tuck it in for you, too. We're going out to a nice dinner tonight. I'm going to wear it tucked in.
So this is, I've had this similar problem. I'm not a very heavy person, but I'm a little lengthy.
Yeah, you're longer.
I'm just all legs.
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with, I get a medium, and I wear the medium. It feels good, and then it gets washed, and some of them stay.
Some of them shrink.
And some of them shrink, and I don't realize it till I put it on, and then it's like, oh, now I'm a guy with super, super tight T-shirt, bro.
I can't wear this anymore.
And I've had a lot of shirts fall out of my rotation. My wife thinks she has solved my problem.
Oh.
She's bought me some shirts. You may have seen them recently. She's bought me like 4 of the same shirt, but in different colors.
Okay. Are we just going like plain tees, basically?
They're plain tees, but they're like, they kind of feel like, I don't know what the material would be, but it's a very comfortable shirt.
A nice, like wearing a cloud. Nice, soft, light. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Medium tall.
Oh,
she found a medium tall where it like fits my body type, but it's long enough for me and it won't shrink.
So if it shrinks, it's not rising up. You're not a 1994 college football player wearing a belly shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, that helps a little bit.
because usually the small, medium, large, extra large more has to do with how it fits around your body.
The girth.
Yeah,
yes.
it's the girth.
It's got to go around the tum-tum, you know?
Yeah, and look,
Yeah, I forget who does. There's a couple places that do the tall, like you can get. Because I run into that too with like sleeve length.
Sleeve length is a big one.
Yep. And then does it get down over the belt line?
It kind of needs to be right about mid D.
Yes.
Or a little longer. I'm okay with that.
Little longer is fine.
Yeah.
Shorter than mid D, you're
so
risking
if I
it.
raise my hands up,
not
you
good. Not
shouldn't
good.
be seeing anything.
I did that to Danforth years ago. I actually blew his mind with that. He at that point he was a bigger version of himself. And he was wearing a T-shirt, and I was like, I don't know, man. I think that's a little small for you. And he goes, what are you talking about? This fits me fine.
Raise those arms
and
up,
I said,
buddy.
raise your arms up, and there's the belly button.
There it goes, rising up.
I said, if it shows the skin, it's time to throw that bad boy out.
Yeah.
This is just this. We need to mandate this. I don't understand how it's so complicated. The shrinkage is one thing, right? Like if you get a large, medium, whatever size you are, and I wash it a couple of times, and it shrinks, that you should make better material that doesn't shrink.
Well, if you get 100% cotton, that thing's gonna shrink.
Sure.
Or you gotta not.
I'm
put it
talking
on.
like dry fit, like golf
Those
polos
shouldn't
should not shrink.
Shrink.
And I wash them on cold, and I wash them on like low to medium heat. I'm not turning the oven up here, so that should not shrink on me.
No.
My issue is when I buy it before, and then I try it on, or I try it on before I buy it, and the size already doesn't match. Like it's an extra large, it's way too big, or it's a large that's not big enough. And I don't understand that, and it drives me nuts.
Do you find yourself being a picky dresser?
No.
Because I do.
You do?
Yeah, I know it doesn't look like it. I'm wearing a plain white T-shirt.
Hey, it's looking good today.
I've gone through 3 versions of white T-shirts where I'm like, I buy them, and then I'm like, I think this is too thick now. And then my wife will find another one. I'm like, I like this. And then I go about a month, and I'm like, they're all kind of too small. And then I find, and now I got these ones, and I'm
feeling
like,
better now.
I don't know the name of the company, but I think it's like Goodfellow or something. And I'm like, I kind of like this. This is good material. It fits me well. I like things to fit me right.
Yes.
If it's too big, I feel stupid
I do
because
too.
largely I've seen old photos of myself late in high school, and to nobody's surprise, I wore massive clothes.
A lot of baggy pants, a lot of baggy shirts.
There's
big.
Yeah, there's a photo with my aunt I will never show publicly. I think I had a 2X on. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, you're not a 2X. That's way too big for
And
you.
I weighed 10 pounds less than I weigh now.
You filled out a little bit since those days, and those were not 2X days, man. Everybody has that, though, in their past, and I think there is something to the bigger clothes, wearing them. You feel like an idiot. You feel like you're wearing a blanket. You feel like you're wearing a tarp.
Yeah.
And even with the golf polo, if you tuck it in, it's like it kind of balloons out over the belt, and then there's just too much going on there, and I'm so upset because the one that I got that doesn't fit, I love it's an unbelievable polo.
That's crushing.
And I'm ready to bring it out. I'm going on a golf trip this weekend. I was looking for some new threads. Let's feel good, play good, and it just doesn't fit.
I am jealous of your golf threads. When I get ready for golf, I actually do care about my outfit.
You got to look good.
And I have a shirt that you're describing perfectly. It's like a pink hue. I really like it. I think I just wore it recently in a round, but it's kind of massive and long.
Yeah.
And I just got golf belts, and I feel like it looks kind of stupid when I tuck it in because it's still a little too loose.
Yeah, and you can't keep it too tight because then you get like the weird flaps on the side.
Yeah.
And then as you play, it slowly gets untucked,
Yeah.
and then it's just dangling out over your belt.
Right,
And that's
right.
not good for anybody.
So what's your overall complaint here? Because this shirt's too big you're wearing.
This one's too big, you
It
think?
just looks a little loose.
Yeah, it is a little loose. I know.
I know you may not be proud of how svelte you may or may not look, but I think you need a little more fitting of a shirt for your body.
See, this one, I can't do the medium. Mediums and me do not simpatico. And so with this shirt, this is my only choice here. And I love the design, and it's a local company.
It's a nice shirt.
So I'm all about that.
Okay.
But this is kind of all I got right now. And I also am going to be sitting in a car for about 17 hours today. And so I wanted the most comfortable shirt possible.
That's a long journey.
So I went with a bigger tarp here.
You can
today.
make a Phoenix?
No, we're driving down. We're stopping in I believe Roseburg is where Bar Run is.
Ah.
Okay.
Have you ever played Bar Run, Swag?
No,
You ever been down there?
I have not.
So it's our big golf trip this weekend.
Shout out Umpqua Ice Cream.
That's right. And so we got to go through Medford because a buddy of ours flew in from Phoenix to Medford, and we need to pick him up.
Big money, buddy.
So this is the longer route to Klamath Falls that you don't usually you cut over at Eugene and you kind of go down through Central Oregon. This time we're going all the way down I-5 South
And then
coming cutting over and backtracking.
man.
So we figured we got to pick him up. We can't pick him up till the evening. Let's get around to golfing.
There you
So we're
go.
driving to Bar Run, which is about a 3.5-hour drive, 4-hour drive.
Yeah, about 4.
Playing golf, and then it's about another
Hour.
4 hours, I think, total, like to get
Oh.
to Medford, and then from
pick
Medford
'em
to
up,
Klamath
and then out
Falls.
to Klamath Falls.
So I might arrive in Klamath Falls at about 11 o'clock tonight. It's going to be a long day.
I had a high school coach that wanted me to go play at South Umpqua Community College. He was like, I played there. It was really nice.
Oh, yeah, brother.
And then I went to Roseburg after I graduated.
Never been to Roseburg before.
I'm sure there's some delightful little spots in Roseburg, but
Sure.
I drove around for about 20 minutes and I went, I wouldn't want to live
This
here.
is not me.
No,
I
I'm out. I'm not in on this.
I've driven through Roseburg, never stopped in Roseburg before.
Pride of Troy Polamalu.
That is right.
Yeah.
Southern Oregon fame right there.
Still probably, we don't need to get into this because we have a lot to discuss today.
That we do.
I would say, though, he is probably the most under-talked about athlete that we've ever had from our state.
we really don't claim him.
We never
No.
talk about him when we bring up
I know.
Danny Ainge, Kevin Love, this guy, Neil Lomax. Nobody ever just from the jump goes, maybe greatest strong safety of all time in Troy Polamalu.
In the conversation to be one of
He's
the greatest
in the
safeties
conversation.
in the history of the NFL.
He's still doing Head and Shoulders commercials with
He is.
substantially better hair than I have.
Yeah.
And we eventually will name him, but we don't put him. He should be at the top. How many football players from our state all time in the history of the game?
He might be the best.
I think he is, isn't he?
Can you name a football player from Oregon that now was he born here? Did he grow up here? What's the whole story?
I don't-
Yeah, I don't know if
I
he's
don't know.
native or they moved here.
If they moved here at some point.
Isn't Dave Wilcox in the Hall of Fame?
Dave Wilcox is in the Hall of Fame. I have a signed Dave Wilcox photo.
Is Polamalu in the Hall of Fame yet?
I don't know
Yes.
that he's.
Has he been? He
I
is?
believe he just went in.
Okay.
Like a year or two ago.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't quote me on
I'll
that, though.
take you on that.
I'm like Detroit Pistons level sure on what I'm doing here.
So he was born in Garden Grove, California.
I think that's why he went to USC.
But
well,
he
aside
went
from it
to
being
Douglas
USC.
High School in Winston, Oregon. That's
Yeah.
where he went to high school.
Yeah.
But I do not know.
So he may moved here. At
Sure.
some
So
point.
maybe that's it. Maybe that's why we don't claim him as much. It's like the one year Aaron Rodgers was in Beaverton. You know, like, hey,
But that's not the
Beaverton's
same
Aaron Rodgers.
thing.
I know. I'm just saying.
1
yeah,
year in
yeah,
eighth
I'm
grade
just
does
saying.
not equal the same as Troy Polamalu going to high school here.
Let's see here. He vacationed, according to his Wikipedia page, he vacationed in Oregon when he was 8 years old or something and stayed with his aunt and uncle.
Oh, okay.
And afterwards, he begged his mother to let him live in Oregon.
That's awesome.
Concerned about the negative influences, his mother sent him to Oregon to live with his aunt and uncle and cousins when he was 9 years old.
Is this the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air
It
script,
is,
or-
yeah.
You moving with your auntie
He was
and
playing
uncle
some
in
basketball
Roseburg?
outside of school.
Now you're going to Roseburg, though, not
now,
L.A.
Now we're in Roseburg, buddy. He liked it, though. Douglas, Oregon, and he played high school football, and then, went to USC.
How often do you think he makes his return back to this state, though?
Do his aunt and uncle still live there?
I don't know.
If they lived there, probably.
Then I think he's visiting still.
How awesome would that be being Roseburg? Go to like a Safeway or something, and
Dude.
it's like there's
Polamalu.
Troy Polamalu in the bread aisle with you, and you're like, what?
He's in the shampoo aisle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Head and Shoulders, me and you, buddy. I got dandruff too, man. I'm wearing Head and Shoulders too.
It would be, I would say it's hard for me to think. Wilcox is a good one. Plus, we know the family name means a lot locally.
Yeah.
But, like, it's what? It's Dave Wilcox and then...
Terrell Brandon.
Yeah, TB.
I mean, Terrell Brandon's great, but
But we're talking, I mean,
Yeah, I know.
he's not a Hall of Fame basketball player.
And I'm just using the football side of it.
Yeah,
Like,
I
take
was
basketball out of it. Just use football.
Is Norm Van
Dale
Brocklin from
Murphy.
here? Or did he just go to Oregon?
I don't know if he's from here. Dale Murphy
I don't
Dale Murphy's a good one.
grew up here, 2-time.
He's abandoned us
MLB.
for Salt Lake City, though.
Norm Van Brocklin was born in South Dakota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he
just the
just
pride
went
of the
to
Ducks.
he just
huh?
went to Oregon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
he's not originally from here.
I think he's rolling in. Wait, is he passed away?
Yes.
Okay, I think he's rolling in his grave over
He
those
died in
jerseys.
1983.
Oh, okay.
He's anti those jerseys.
He's anti those black jerseys.
Back in my day,
What are those feathers on our helmets?
we just had green and yellow. That's all we needed.
Black's not even in our colors. Well, it's going to be a great Thursday for us today. We have a lot to discuss. Obviously, the Trailblazers were very polarizing yesterday on the internet.
They had a day yesterday. Look at
They had a
them.
day.
Were
They had a
they,
day.
were they really polar? I obviously. am
Okay.
I don't know if polarizing is the right word.
Well, you guys, I can open my mentions to you, and you can jump
Okay.
into that hellscape. God forbid you like anything one time. You know what? You know what yesterday proved to me, and I don't say this like happily. I feel like we're pretty fair as a show on that team. You crap on them a little more than I do.
Sure.
But I feel like we're pretty honest about all the things and how we feel.
Yeah.
God forbid I like one thing. And I didn't even like, oh, this is the greatest move of all time. I'm just like, I like this. This is good.
People dump it on you.
And just let me just piss in your Cheerios. We'll talk about it.
Can we just do like a quick trust tree thing? Quick trust tree.
Let's bring the trust tree over.
I need full honesty and transparency from you two gentlemen.
Yeah, I will be honest.
Okay.
I will be honest about it. So we'll get to the draft. We'll get to the trade. We'll get to the uniform talk. We'll get to some of the other draft dealings. My guy Dalton Connect falling all the way to 17 to the LA Lakers.
Could have had him at 14.
Yeah. I know.
Just saying. Just saying.
I don't know if they knew that going in, though.
They did not know that going in.
He fell like a stone,
He was
man.
the guy that fell. There's always a guy every year, and he was the guy that fell.
3 guests today. Look at us. We're a packed show. Tyler Metcalf of No Ceilings. They're an NBA draft podcast. They do a great job. He's going to join us at 7:30. Get his thoughts on the clinger. 8 o'clock, Ken Barkley. You bet.
Find out if he's planned his purchase.
He cashed those Ice Cats tickets. And who does he have as an early look at Rookie of the Year in the NBA?
Yes.
And then 8:30, Chase Hughes, NBC Washington. He's a team affiliate guy. We will ask him who Denny Avdia was last year for the Wizards. Get to know kind of Denny Avdia for your trust tree question that you're going to ask on the other side. It is a loaded show. It is great to be with you. Dirt and Sprague, let's get it going on the Fan.
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Happy Thursday, everybody. I made jam yesterday. About the whitest dad thing I could have possibly done.
A little homemade jam, picking some berries, making jam. Look at you.
Tayberry jam.
Hey, that sounds good.
They're a little bitter as a berry, but man, when they cook and they boil, yes. Had it this morning. I was excited.
I'm feeling good.
What do you do in your off time? I make jam.
What'd you do on Thursday, huh? My toast is going to be great for the next 2 weeks.
I kept trying. Hey, you should try these jam to my daughter, and she's like, "Dad, I'll try it."
Shut up, Dad. I don't want this.
Shut
God,
up.
stop bothering me.
Busy day yesterday.
That it was, Bob.
Locally, you have a trust tree question.
Yes.
That you want to get to. We're going to do this a weird kind of way. We're going to kind of peekaboo into it right now, and then we'll break it up and we'll dive back in. We've got Cronin audio to get to, thoughts, hot takes, opinions. Your thoughts, hot takes, opinions are welcome.
Yeah.
It's going to be a weird show, but it's going to be a fun show. What is your trust tree question?
My trust tree question is, yesterday as we were wrapping up, all excited and anticipating the NBA draft, what are the Blazers going to do tonight? If I had said to you yesterday at 8:51 a.m., final segment, hey, guys, the Blazers are going to land Denny Avdia today.
Yes.
Would you have known who that was, who he played for, and how good or bad he was?
I wouldn't have fully been able to give you all the stats and analytics of his season last year.
Mm-hmm.
I did know who he was.
Okay.
And I would have been able to tell you what team.
The team, Swigard?
Not a clue.
Not a clue, yeah. Because that was the camp that I was in. I saw this trade go. My brother-in-law texted me. I was outside with the dog. And I'm like, oh, look at that. They made a trade. And I had to, read it 5 times. I'm like, wait, what? Huh? So at first I thought he was a toss-in guy, and we got an extra first-round pick from Washington for Malcolm Brogdon.
People need to separate tweets, by the way, these news breakers. They need to stop putting everything in a half paragraph. They need to say, trade. Blazers get
receive
list.
Sent Washington receives.
Boom.
Yes,
make this easier on me.
And it threw me for a loop. And then I texted the group chat and I'm like, "Can somebody explain this to me? I've never heard of this guy before. I have no clue who he is. What are we doing?" And nobody responded. I'm just lost in the wilderness looking for answers. Nobody's there to help me out.
Well, to be fair to your friends in your group chat, aren't you the guy they should
No,
be
I texted
texting?
you guys.
Oh,
I texted
us.
you.
I'm sorry.
You guys
I'm
are the
sorry.
hoop bros. I thought one of you would be like, well, actually, Dirt, he was blah, 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 blah.
It was,
No, not a clue.
Not a clue. I had no clue who. My favorite thing from the night last night was a Blazer fan in my Twitter mentions acknowledging, 1, never heard of him, never seen him play. 2, great trade. Unbelievable trade. Best trade I've ever seen from Joe Cronin. That was my highlight of the night last night. I've never heard of it, but dude, great trade. Okay.
I quickly went to the stat machine. It's like, all right, because I know
numbers are really good.
Yeah.
I mean, younger guys, if they played in college, because my focus during basketball season obviously is more on the college game, doing the pilot stuff. And so guys that are international, unless they're a Victor Wembanyama where you can't avoid him.
Sure.
And then he played for the Wizards, so nobody cared about the Wizards.
They won 20 games last year?
About that, yeah. I think they finished tied with us, right?
I think so. I think we had the same record.
But a little research, if you were interested in Dalton Connect, now you have a taller
Dalton Connect.
About the same age,
who
already has
younger.
3 years of NBA experience and started every game he played last year.
Better defender as well.
38% from 3, averaging nearly 16 points, but he also rebounded and doled out some assists. So you're like, okay, so now you got a guy who, if you were excited about Dalton Connect, who athletically is a little rangier, and can do all the things at the NBA level that you're hoping Dalton Connect do. So, and he's got a manageable contract that apparently he's just signed or will sign. Or
it's a 4-year, $55 million deal. It's a de-escalating contract. So it's going to make 15 and some change this year. By the time he's 27, it's going to be 11.
Why the hell did he sign that contract?
Because money's nice to have.
Yeah,
you get $55 million thrown at
say,
you.
sure, I'll take it.
I'll take that. And he'll be 27 by the end of it.
Yeah.
And if he pops even more than he did this year.
And the salary cap will take a giant.
Oh, I mean, the contract is one of the biggest arguments of the trade. It's a great deal. I chuckled when I saw that. Why would you sign a deal that's I've not seen many of those in the NBA that go that direction. Usually they ramp up, and then by the end of it, it's like, oh my God, this guy's making a crazy amount. He's going the other direction.
Well, he's kind of doing a couple things there. I'm just guessing and spitballing here. I don't know if we'll ever get clear explanation of it, but he had a really good year last year.
He did. He popped last year.
And so it's more like, hey, you could take this deal and 55 is right there and it's going to be in your bank account. Or you can maybe gamble for one more year and get a bigger deal. And I don't blame anybody for just saying, I'll take the 55.
Yeah.
And then he'll only be 27 when it ends. And, hopefully that's a $100 million payday in the next contract.
Right. You can cash in them.
I think a couple things of this trade. One, this happened at the worst time of my day yesterday. I went on a 4-mile run.
Missed it.
And literally as I ended, I'm breathing.
Wait, what? What do they do?
I have texts from 5 people. I get a call from Danny. And I'm like, oh, no. Open it up. Like, I got to have you. Okay. And then Danny's like, hey, when can you go? I'm like, I'll be on it. Give me 10 minutes. Let's get up. And so it's like, I'm processing. I don't blame anybody for seeing this and having the same reaction as you.
I had to put the poll question up because I was genuinely curious how many people had never heard of this guy before.
Well, I follow a couple like Blazer blog people, and I saw quote tweets. What?
How dare you?
How do you not know this guy?
Yeah, you were glued to Wizards games on League Pass last year.
He was controversial, too.
Lying through your teeth.
Politics.
Oh, immediately I saw those too.
Oh, yeah.
We know the background, the lineage there, and stances were being taken.
I want nothing to do with that conversation today, by the way.
I love how Blazer fans immediately found that and were like, nope, I'm out.
If any city was going to identify it quickly,
it
was going to be us. Here's the thing. One, you are welcome to not like any trade ever that this team executes. That's fine. That's great. I'll listen to why, and sometimes it'll make sense to me, and sometimes I'll go, you feel like you're going in circles here. If you never knew who he was, and I actually chuckled because I was about to go live on a podcast when I saw you post that, and I went, there's my co-host Dirt. I don't blame you whatsoever. I had a friend text me, what the hell are the Blazers doing? And I said, you don't like him? Didn't watch him last year? I didn't watch any Wizards.
No.
And I said, well, then, yeah, of course your reaction's going to be this. And also, I think what's happening in the NBA, not just Portland, this is not specific to Portland. I think what's happening in the NBA, we're seeing a list. And the list yesterday was Mom's grocery list. If you're going to go to the grocery store, here's my list. And Washington got a long list, and Portland's list was short. And you see that, and you naturally react. Guy I never saw play paired with what we're throwing out.
Yep.
Oh, my God, what a bad trade. Instead of maybe breaking it down and adding a little context and nuance to what that trade really was, which we can do that. We can run through that trade.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I think it was a good trade. But I don't blame people who didn't watch Avdia play because, to your point, Wizards sucked.
Terrible.
And also saw a laundry list of things.
Multiple first-round picks.
Versus what we got in return for it and the instant reaction and emotions that can make you feel.
Yeah, I chuckled with the amount of people who turned into experts on this guy as if they had been glued to every Wizards game last year.
Yes.
I, too, watched the YouTube highlights. They looked awesome. The box score looked great, but I'm not going to sit here and be one of those people that pretends that I was glued to Wizards League Pass basketball, just like nobody in this city was. Nobody was.
Nobody was.
So maybe you caught a game once. Maybe you caught a game when they played the Blazers twice. Outside of that, nobody was watching this guy play, and now we see what he can turn into in a Blazer uniform.
Well, I look at the concept of the trade. It's like, yes, this guy has to come, and he has to continue to make the leaps that he's made the last couple of seasons in his game. But, okay, he is a 6'9" rangy wing who can shoot threes. You definitely need one of those.
Yes, you do.
He's got a manageable contract. He's already got experience, but he's still relatively young, so he fits whatever time frame. You mentioned, okay, there's future second-round picks in, 29 and 31 or 27 and 29?
I actually didn't. I was so busy yesterday with this stuff. I actually didn't see the years included of those seconds. Not that that's a big deal.
They're down the road.
They're down the
where
road, yeah.
if your time frame now fits, those things should be in the 50s.
Okay, you know what? I was going to pivot out.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I think it's a big day yesterday. There's a lot
I think
that
it's
happened.
a big day. And I think I know a lot more about where Cronin's trying to take this team after yesterday.
Okay, that's an interesting point as well. How do you feel about the Denny Avdia trade, the Wizards trade, their young forward yesterday? By the way, I saw him play in person last year.
You went to a Wizards game, huh?
I went to the Blazer-Wizard game. It was the my father-in-law gets company tickets, club seats. Because, yeah, you want these tickets? And I'm like, sure.
Free, why not?
So the wife and I went, and they ended up losing, of course, to the Wizards at home.
Did Avdia torch him in that game?
He didn't torch him, but he had 13. He was a problem for him. He had 13, 11, and 6.
There you go.
Let's talk about the trade and my position on it, Dirt's position on it. Swag just gave you his. Let's run through this a little bit, but first, Swag with the sports update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Well, the Blazers wasted no time getting involved in the NBA draft. Reported before the Hawks were on the clock, Portland will send the number 14 pick, Bub Carrington, along with Jonathan Brogdon, a future first and 2 future second-round picks to the Wizards for 23-year-old forward Denny Avdia. The deal expected to be executed on July 6th. Then Joe Cronin used his number 7 overall pick to take 7'2" center Donovan Clingan from the University of Connecticut. Top 2 picks were both from France. Zachary Arisache went first to the Hawks, while the Wizards took Alex Sarr. Biggest surprise of the draft, Memphis Grizzlies taking Zach Edey at number 9, while Dalton Knecht from Tennessee fell into the Lakers' lap at 17. Round 2 still to come this afternoon. It starts at 1 p.m. Full coverage over on 910 ESPN Portland. Elsewhere in the NBA, multiple reports indicate OG Anunoby will sign a 5-year max deal to stay with the Knicks. When free agency begins, it's valued at $212 million. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand at the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, let's get into the Denny Avdia trade. We'll get into Joe Cronin. We got audio from the Crone Zone on their 1 pick because they traded the number 14 pick yesterday.
That was the only benefit of the split draft, was at least we got that press conference at a time in which I could actually listen to it before falling asleep. And if we had 2 rounds, that would have happened at like 11 o'clock at night.
Well, and also nobody on the Fan would have been able to react till Monday.
No, good point.
Because it would have been Friday night.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. It would have been really late. You're right.
Yeah, it would have just been late. Yeah.
I got my days mixed up because we're off tomorrow.
We're off tomorrow, and so this is our Friday.
Yeah.
But there would have been a show tomorrow.
So about an hour before the draft, it was announced that the Blazers traded Malcolm Brogdon, the number 14 pick, a 2029 first-round pick, which they have 3 of those, a Boston, Milwaukee, and their own.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be the second most favorable one. So if, wherever
the middle
that
of the
lands-
sandwich.
middle one,
Middle
yeah.
It's
sandwich
not the
one.
bread, it's the meat.
No. Yeah.
I mean,
We gave them our meat.
We gave him our meat.
And then 2 second-round picks for Denny Avdia, who is 23. I noted there he is younger technically than Dalton Connect. Averaged about 15 points per game last night, 7 boards. Shooting splits were pretty good for him. So I saw this, and I'm like, wow, it's a lot of stuff. Let me process, right? Because we got Malcolm in that Dame trade. It was... okay, or the Drew trade, excuse me, which kind of came from the Dame trade. It was more like, okay, we're going to flip Malcolm. When you processed who he was, how did you feel about the trade?
I have 2 different thought waves going on in my head right now.
Okay.
One is when I look at the player that he is and the numbers that he put up last year and the contract that he is under, all about it.
Okay.
He is the kind of guy that we have been asking for how long, right? 6'9", rangy. Last year he could shoot, puts the ball on the floor. He's supposed to be a plus defender. Again, I'm just going off of what people are telling me because I've never seen him play basketball.
We've wanted this position and this kind of player on paper.
Yes.
I will be fair there, paper.
Paper.
Since Nick left.
Yes, it's been a long time. And if you listen to the show yesterday, what did I ask for in the draft? Go take one of the flyers on one of these wings because that's what we desperately need.
Mm-hmm.
They are hot commodities in the NBA. And so once you process the player that he is, I understand the fit and why they made the move. The other wavelength that I have going on is kind of a twofold. One, how much of last year is an outlier? How much of last year is the start of what he is turning into? Mm-hmm. So we want to go on this road of he's 6'9" and he can shoot. He absolutely could shoot last year. His career 3-point shooting percentage is 32%.
It is.
And he has had years where he shot sub 30%. He's been in the NBA for 4 years now. He's had years where he's been below 30%. So is this an outlier? Hey, we just popped for a random year and now we're going to go back to being 31, 32? Or is this, I'm 23 years old, my game is coming together, I'm developing? That is clearly what the Blazers are gambling on. The only other part of this that I had a hard time with was thinking about the trade in a more macro level, and you kind of alluded to it there. So if I tell you the initial deal, hey, you gave up Brogdon, the 14th pick in a bad draft, and a future first-round pick that not many people are thinking about, that you have 3 picks in that draft for a wing, you would probably say, okay, that's not a terrible deal. But if I take it a layer back and I tell you, you traded Drew Holiday for Robert Williams, who's not going to net basically anything when you move him because the guy's played 40 games in 2 years, and I don't think there's a robust market there.
He's coming off ACL surgery.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's a big robust market there.
I agree with that.
So you traded Drew Holiday, who I think is a guy who is a missing link for the Bucks and the Celtics to win NBA championships, for Robert Williams and Denny Avdia. And that was the only other way that I was thinking of it, of like, if I told you that last year when you got Drew Holiday, now, granted, Denny had not hit yet, so you would not have felt the same way, but that's what you get for Drew Holiday in a trade. Is that fair compensation? And the reason I bring that up is because I just think you're in a spot where, you know, to use a Colin Cowherd analogy, you don't have a silver spoon in Portland. You cannot make bad decisions and just be good because you're geographically blessed. You have to make every right move and maximize every single asset. And I think one of the criticisms that I've had mainly about Joe Cronin is that I don't know if he's gotten the best value for all of his trade pieces, and I don't know if that's fair value in a trade for Drew Holiday.
Here is one of the guys on Cronin's staff. He talked late last night, late for us. We'll get some of the audio. Mike Schmitz got hired out of ESPN. He was a draft nut for Draft Express, and what we've What we've come to discover here in Portland is if you hear a name, search the Mike Schmidt's Twitter account.
Yes.
Because Denny Avdia is not one that I think many people remember from his draft of 2020.
He's a top 10 pick.
And to your earlier point, and I agree 100%, I think some of the reaction to this trade is, I didn't watch a second of Wizards basketball.
Nor should you have.
Here was Mike Schmidt's evaluation of Denny Avdia from the NBA draft. This was on ESPN when he was with them at the time.
I think this is going to be the steal of the draft, to be honest. I think Denny Avdia, when we look back 5 years from now, we're going to see a guy who could be the best player even to come out of this draft. And it starts with his basketball IQ and his versatility. He's tremendous in the open court, and he has great size, 6'10". He's a fiery competitor, 225 pounds. He's tremendous getting downhill to his right. He's great attacking closeouts. He can really facilitate, and an underrated defender as well. He's very multi-positional on that end of the floor, and he can put you on a poster in space. He's really improved as a perimeter shooter as well. He can handle the ball. I think he has a chance to become not just a 3-and-D type of wing, but a guy who can also be a secondary playmaker as well. I love his upside.
I saw this from Kevin O'Connor late last night. I guess him, Russillo, and Simmons, who all have votes for these awards, all voted him most improved player. He got 10% of the votes.
Yeah, he finished in sixth, I think, at most improved
Sixth
voting.
in most improved player last year. He did have a good year. To your point on the three-point percentage, you went from 29, basically 30% the year prior, to 37%, and the clip stayed the same. It was 3.1 per attempt, which is basically what his career average. He averages 3.1 3-point attempts per game.
That should go up with Portland.
Here it should. His role is going to be basically like, guy who's 6'9" can put ball on floor.
Yep.
Be a spot-up shooter for Scoot or whoever is out there. And we'll get to whoever is out there at the top of the hour with Joe Cronin stuff. Here's my trade evaluation of it, because I understand all of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think both things actually are true. I think it's fair to criticize or wonder aloud trade value. We did that when we talked about the Drew Holiday thing. Remember the Windhorse piece came out, and as soon as he got to Portland, he got a call, and it was like, where do you want to go? Give me the list. And instead of saying, hey, all the league, we've got Drew Holiday, what's your best stuff? And maybe to Cronin's defense for himself, he'd say, if you looked at what I was offered, you'd say, okay, Boston was as good as anything else. I don't know that to be true or not true, because he'll never give that stuff up. No. But the report was that they got a lot of draft capital thrown at them from not-so-good teams, but they did right by Drew. And we criticized that. I did not like that. I do not like operating in that way. This was why it was a little bit surprised to me. We sent Malcolm to Washington.
We did.
They are trying to be as bad as the Nets.
Well, he's going to get moved too, right? Like, he's not going to stick in Washington.
But if he does, we sent him to Washington. So we'll see if he's bought out or traded and flipped. The trade itself, just this specific trade, you're 1st and 14. I mean, we all talked the whole time.
Draft's not great.
You were hoping to hit just one of your two picks.
If you ended up with a player like this with the 14th pick, you would have been incredibly happy.
You would have come in today as a Blazer fan and said, man, we took a swing, 6'9", he's athletic, he's rangy. Okay, all right, so you gave up the 14th pick. No spilt Cheerios there. The 2029 first-round pick, one of your three, by the way. Why do we care about 2029? It's 2024. I was told throughout the whole Dame trade process, who cares about 2029 and 2030 picks? Yeah, okay, I'm there. I don't know if the world's going to be around in 2029. What do I care about in 2024? And Malcolm, I don't know about you. I didn't feel great about Malcolm last year. I thought he kind of sucked. Yeah, I thought he looked like a guy coming off an injury that just really has I don't really care.
Well, the bigger thing was it was stunting the developmental growth of either Scoot or Ant or whoever.
Which is what pissed Dirt off.
Person's going to be.
And then do not, and I'm saying this sincerely, please do not today. You cannot like this trade for his skill set. You don't think he'll shoot as well. Okay, whatever. Do not come to me today, and your complaint is second-round picks. We had 9. We got 5 for Gary Payton II. We're not going to use 9 second-round picks, so I don't care that they threw 2 seconds. Look at the Bridges trade, for example. Not that he's Bridges. Would anybody have guessed it was going to take that much draft capital?
No.
That much? 4 unprotected, plus Milwaukee's 2028 first, plus more second stuff, and a play. Who cares about second-round picks? They're useless to me.
Yeah, nobody should be complaining about that. The only draft pick to complain about would be the 2029 one. And I
did you care about that?
No, I mean I see your larger argument, but I think the hope was like you couldn't have gotten this trade done for Brogdon in the 14th pick. Because Brogdon, I'm with you 100% on his fit in Portland and watching him. Like, I didn't want him to be a part of the Blazers long term. They should have dealt him at the deadline. I got zero issue trading him.
Sure.
But that should have been a valuable piece to part with because he was a sixth man of the year and he's on an expiring contract. Like, there are valuable things that tie into Malcolm Brogdon, just not currently for us in Portland. Mm-hmm. And so that was my only thought of really, like, Brogdon and the 14th pick wasn't enough to go get this guy. You would have tie in another future first-round pick to get it done.
But he's 23 and averaged 15 points a game. He's 6'9". He shot 37% from the field. You should check the Wizards Reddit. Not that Reddit's the end-all, be-all of opinion.
Oh, they were pissed yesterday.
Largely pissed.
Yeah.
Like, this is all we're going to get for him? Mm-hmm. And they're rebuilding just like we are. And they're in the same spot of like, do we have a star? I don't think we have a star. So, again, you don't have to love the trade. Maybe I didn't convince anybody there. I don't
think there's anybody that hates the trade. I just think it's...
Oh, no, I've gotten some of the responses.
Well, that's just dumb.
And I think people are reacting. Again, you're looking at a list, and you're seeing what they got. That list is longer. And you're looking at us, and you're seeing one player. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where some of the this trade reaction is stemming from personally. And I think the whole trade market in general in the NBA is really wonky and weird because of the second apron and what it takes to get good players or players that you think will be good for your team. That was that's kind of my takeaway of the Denny Advia trade.
Yeah.
All right, we're a little over. Let's react. We'll kind of wrap that up. We'll get to Cronin with Klingon. They took Klingon at 7. We will break this up eventually, I promise. We got duck uniform talk to get to.
Damn right we do.
Oh, fly, birds, fly.
Damn right we do.
Dirt and Sprague back with more on 1080 The Fan.
Built for power, This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, a little bit of a shorter one here, and I apologize for that. I'm not proud of our actions last segment, and that is all my fault.
Everybody's fired up today, man. It feels good. There's a lot going on. People are passionate. Everybody's got takes today.
Well, they're making moves. Swag, you said something, you didn't even get in there, and I'm curious because the draft was interesting to me, and I didn't watch. I'm not going to act like I watched picks 1 through 30. I eventually even turned it off and saw, oh, that guy was picked there. Oh, that guy was picked there.
I stopped watching after the top 10, I think. When I knew the Blazers weren't picking at 14, I saw 7. I was like, all right, let's see how the rest of the top 10 goes.
Yeah, I was curious. I couldn't believe Connect kept falling. I was like, oh, my goodness, how far? And then it's like, oh, the Lakers got a gift.
I think Toronto took Jacoby Walter, and I was like, okay.
Okay, that's enough.
And I switched it off. You said you got an idea of the Crone Zone and what they're doing with the trade or the moves
I think
yesterday?
so. I think it's, you moved Brogdon, so you had to do that. So now when we start the season, okay, who's that point guard going to be? Now, if they move Ant, then you know. But if Ant and Scoot are still on the roster, you're going to know 5 games in based on what there's no other option for Chauncey to get out there and run point, quite frankly. So it's going to be pretty evident pretty quick. Okay, this is what we're doing there. And then with Klingon, and I know we'll get into Klingon here coming up, he won't start. Ayton will start. It appears very obvious they're going to try to showcase him. I think all the big moves, I think this is building up for the trade deadline to be, can we get Jeremy Grant out early, no injuries, have him big numbers?
Yeah.
Well, can Ayton do that? Because if you remember, Klingon as a freshman played behind. He didn't even start. He played behind a guy. And then this year stepped into it being the guy or one of the guys for UConn. So he won't have any problems playing 25 minutes coming off the bench. And if Ayton gets into foul trouble, he can play 30, whatever. So I think it is setting up for Cronin, if nobody gets hurt and his veterans come out of the blocks playing, big fireworks at the trade deadline.
I'll be surprised if Grant's on the team at the start of the season.
I would too, and I'd also be surprised, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd be kind of surprised if Anthony Simons is on the team when the season starts.
I'm starting to kind of wonder that too from some audio we got from Joe Cronin yesterday.
And we'll get to that in the next hour.
Yeah.
But to me, that's where I'm most encouraged, and that is my main complaint last year was that you were trying to tank, but with a roster that had too many vets on it, if that makes sense. Like, to me, when you're trying to rebuild and put this thing back together, it's about finding out exactly what you got in your young guys. I think Denny is a great example of this, a guy who has started 155 games in his career. The Wizards have sucked. When was the last time the Wizards were good? Yeah. He was given a long runway to play, to develop, and then finally in year 4 he popped. And if you're Portland, you're hoping that pop continues. But I hated the idea of having guys who I knew were no part of the long-term plan, who were playing minutes, taking away opportunities from the guys that you're trying to build the team around. And that was my whole issue with Malcolm Brogdon last year, and it's where I'm now at on Jeremy Grant. You just got a guy who's your new Jeremy Grant, who's 23 years old, who's on a better contract, and you think better fits your timeline, and I'm all for it. I don't want Jeremy Grant. I know he plays kind of a 4. It's a weird fit for me right now, but this dude should be your new wing.
Denny's a 3. He's
more of a 3, sure. Yeah. And I would argue I think Jeremy Grant is too, but that's semantics. This is the guy that should be getting your low post passes, in the offense. This is the guy that you should be running sets through. This is the guy that you should be maximizing because he's a part of your long-term plan. And so as long as this continues, you got rid of Brogdon, all for it, thank God. Grant should be next. Simon should be next as well. Ayton, you're probably going to wait until the trade deadline, but his days are numbered in Portland. This is finally the full reset that I've been asking for, or at least the start of it. Now they got to go finish it.
I would add, too, the one thing I really don't like still, I like the trade. I like Klingon. I just not a fan of having this lame duck coach season. Not a fan at all.
No, especially with a young roster.
A guy who's going to be here for all of one more year and not really part of what we're going to do going forward with these young players.
Yeah.
Coach this.
Maximize these young guys because you truly care about the long term, right? Because he knows he's going to get fired.
Well, I mean, any normal human, if you're lame duck in any profession,
right, you're not giving
how
your
motivated
effort.
are you? And like,
Right.
you know your team's gonna suck. And I'm not a fan of that whatsoever.
A guy at his exit interview that said, I want to push for the play-in, and now they're going to start trading away veterans and say, we're going to win 16 games next year. And that's exactly what they should do, which is why you should go find a new head coach.
That is a mistake the organization, I think, is still making, and they're going to go into it that way. He's going to have a lame duck year, and then I guess they'll find the coach.
Yeah.
We will hear from Joe Cronin on the Klinger. Anybody speak Klingon? Huh? Star Trek joke? No.
I saw a bunch of those. I don't know anything about Star Trek.
I don't either. I was always a Star Wars guy. I felt
So
like you couldn't,
Klingon is the language in Star Trek?
It was the bro with the weird forehead.
Ah, okay. The alien-looking guy?
Yeah, the tiered forehead.
All right.
Yeah. Loaded second hour, Dirt and Sprague. We'll talk about the draft on 1080 The Fan.
Is live on the Odyssey app is KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland 1080 The Fan.
By the way, should we change that name? It's too late now.
An Odyssey sports station. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Blazers dove into the deep waters on day one of the NBA draft, making a deal before the Hawks were put on the clock. They will send the number 14 pick, the rights to Bub Carrington, along with Malcolm Brogdon, a future first and 2 future second-round picks to the Wizards for forward Denny Advia, who's been in the league for 4 years. That deal expected to be executed July 6th. Then Joe Cronin used his number 7 overall pick to take 7'2" center Donovan Clingan out of the University of Connecticut. Top 2 picks came from France. Zachary Risache went first to the Hawks. The Wizards took Alex Sarr. Biggest surprises of the draft: Memphis taking Zach Edey at number 9, and Dalton Knecht falling to the Lakers at number 17. Round 2 gets underway this afternoon, 1 o'clock. Full coverage over on 910 ESPN. Portland. Elsewhere in the NBA, multiple reports indicating OG Anunoby set to sign a 5-year max deal to stay with the Knicks when free agency begins. It's valued at $212 million. PGA Tour is in Detroit this week. The Rocket Mortgage Challenge, log jam at 3 under par. Cam Young, Jason Duffner, Nate Lashley among those in the lead. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand at the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Last year, I spent more money on spilled liquor in bars from one side of this world to the other than you made.
It's time for Dirt and Sprague.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo!
With Andy Dirt Johnson and Brendan Sprague.
Wheeling dealing, limousine wreck, jet flying, son of a gun.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080.
And I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Woo!
The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Second hour of the radio program. Dirt and Sprague here on 1080 The Fan. Good morning. Happy Thursday to everybody out there. Happy birthday to my wife.
Hey, happy birthday, Mrs. Sprague.
I know.
Look at that.
Happy birthday.
Got myself a cougar.
Where you guys going this weekend? You going out of town for a birthday?
We're going to get tatted today.
Okay,
right
little
after the show.
tattoos.
Yeah, I got to be in Salem by 10:30.
Ooh, that's turn and burn.
Oh, yeah. And I
Turn
got to
and
drive
burn.
back to Damascus.
They're closing down I-5 South. When's that happening?
Friday.
Okay, Friday.
It is between Terwilliger and Highway 99 there after Capitol
okay.
Highway.
Gotcha, all right.
And then tomorrow we're heading over to a wolf sanctuary in the middle of
what? Come again?
There's a wolf sanctuary.
Where you just go look at wolves?
Yeah, you go learn about animal conservation, and they show you on a guided tour. It's kind of like Jurassic Park. It's like you hope the animals are seen.
Yeah.
And taking our kids to that, and then going to Newport for a night, because Newport might be the best coastal town there is in Oregon.
Yeah, to get that hot debate going again.
And then we'll come back on Saturday.
I saw a video recently. There was one of those like wilderness retreats, and they were looking at some lions, and the lions were getting it on right in between the trucks.
Nice.
And I thought about pulling the audio because the sound of the male lion at finish, just phenomenal.
Just a big roar.
Yeah.
Or is like,
basically, yeah. Sounded very human. And then the lady lion, the lioness, kind of turned around and growled at him a little bit and was like, "That was it." And he was like, "Yeah, that's it. That's all I got."
Did it move when Joe found out Donovan Clingan fell to 7?
Yes, it did. It did for that.
Oh my God!
When Ron Holland went, where did he go? 5 to Detroit. That was the one where you knew, like, all right, there's a chance that this could happen here.
Yeah, and then Charlotte was talking about trading with Memphis. Memphis really wanted some Donovan Clingan in their life.
They wanted a big, and they ended up with Zach Edey.
Hey, I'm all about it. I'm rooting for Zach Edey, man. I'm a big Edey guy. And Charlotte ended up going Tijan Salon at number 6. So they're taking a flyer on a very raw prospect. That's the other part of all this. People not happy about the trade. I think most people are cool with the trade. Yeah. I think you're debating semantics of how much you gave up, the value of picks, the value in 2029 first.
That's what you're debating. Nobody can disagree with wanting a 6'9" wing that could play defense and last year could shoot the ball.
But if they would have taken Tijan Salon, I said yesterday, we'd probably come in and say, we get it, take a swing.
Yeah, take a flyer.
Boy, is he a raw prospect.
Sure.
Very raw prospect. So Charlotte goes that direction. Portland gets Donovan Clingan. We'll get the audio in a second here from old Joe Cronin last night. But just your thoughts of knowing that, like, hey, we're going to get Donovan Clingan, the big man that everybody mocked us with. He did fall to us, how you feel about that.
It's funny how when we this whole mock stuff started and we began looking into the draft and where guys were going to go, there were a lot of folks who just kind of rolled their eyes at mock drafts. And we said something the first time the mock drafts came out. A lot of them you can just disregard. Throw them out. They do not matter. There was one guy that matters, and it is because he has a relationship with somebody in the front office for Portland, and that is Jonathan Givony.
Woj is pretty tied into when Woj says something, somebody is
telling them that, right? And so we kept seeing these Givony mock drafts in the last week and a half of them taking Clingan at 7, and yet every time the description was, I don't know if he's going to make it there. He might not make it there. He probably won't be there at 7. But clearly they were having conversations with people in Portland who thought, there's a chance. Because according to Cronin, they were calling around, seeing, hey, where are you guys going to go? Is anybody liking Clingan? Should we move up? Should we stand pat? And basically, the intel that they got, I think it made them believe that Klingon was going to fall to them, and their plan ended up being executed. And I have zero issue with the pick whatsoever. I said yesterday, you get Connect, you get Klingon, you take a flyer on a guy. There's not many picks that I'm going to come in here and criticize today outside of one, and thankfully he went number 9. Sanity prevailed.
Yeah.
And so you got a center who I think can be a part of your long-term future. I'm not the biggest DeAndre Ayton guy, never have been. I think he's kind of hollow numbers on a bad team, and I hope you try and deal him at the trade deadline, not to mention his bloated contract. So finding a young center that I think better fits with Scoot and Shaden and probably has a better attitude and a better work ethic, I'm all for it, and I thought the pick was great.
Does the injury history concern you?
I mean, it always does with centers, right? Somebody
Especially
tweeted
here.
immediately after the pick I saw was Donovan Klingon announced out for the 24-25 season with a stress fracture. It's like, oh, God, here we go again.
Well, let's not do that.
I know.
Let's
not
go
go
that
there.
to the big man.
Let's not go there.
We had Mike Richmond, the homie, on yesterday, and I think it was you. You asked him about the fit. DeAndre Ayton is still the center here if they took Donovan Klingon. Here was Mike Richmond of Locked On Blazers.
I don't think it means much for DeAndre Ayton's immediate term. Like, I don't think they need to trade him in July if they draft a center, because it's maybe irresponsible to go into an NBA season with like Donovan Klingon, Duop Reeve, and Rob Williams as your center core. But I will say, if you expend a high draft pick on a center in this draft, particularly Klingon or Edey, and particularly Klingon, because I don't know that Edey projects as like a 35-minute a night guy in the league, but maybe I'm wrong and Sprague's right. I think it just means that the long-term, medium-term future of DeAndre Ayton is probably not with the Blazers. He has this year and one other year under contract, and the following year under contract. If they were to take a center at 7, I think it would signal that his days are numbered, although I do believe he would play out the remainder of this season, and they'd figure it out after that.
On the Instagram post of Klingon going to Portland, the bottom comment caught a lot of people's attention. Old DeAndre Ayton putting up the praise God emojis saying, yes, sir. So a lot of people were like, we already have a center, man. How's it going to make him feel?
Yeah.
He posted to social media that he was pretty happy about it. Here is Danny Hurley on Donovan Klingon going to Portland. This was him on ESPN Radio.
Well, I mean, he was from Bristol, and if we didn't get him, my whole staff was getting fired. Right? They were all out, and he's an incredible young man. Obviously, he anchored, the best offense in the country, and he anchored the best defense in the country. And it's just so cool to see him going to Portland. I know Portland loves him, and I know there was another really big, great center that played there in Bill Walton, so it's exciting.
Shout out our Bill Walton center that he pulled from the 70s there.
We had one time. We had a good center in the past.
Don't short Sabas.
That's true. That's
Come
true.
On, it's Sabas.
Very true.
They had to have been ecstatic internally. It's why I said yesterday, like, you got a 6'9" wing who you like, the Dalton Connect thing, right? Like, everybody knows that's listened to this show. I like Dalton Connect. Yeah. I do. But, like, it's interesting that we way overpaid for the wing, and I like Dalton Connect. I've never seen Dalton Connect play in the NBA.
Nope.
And for all the, like, well, Denny Avdia is 1 year sample, so I don't know, man. How many years did Dalton Connect play at Tennessee?
1.
Uno.
And where did he play before Tennessee?
Northern Colorado.
Where they have juggling as a sport.
They're in the Big Sky. They play Portland State in their conference.
There you go.
They have juggling as a sport?
Juggling is one of their sports.
Not a lot not a lot of outside time in
Where
Greeley,
did that
Colorado.
random fact come
I
from?
think or maybe it was his JUCO, but somebody put up a school he played at. It was like sports they have, and juggling was one of them.
You're telling me there was a chance I could have gone pro?
And if you look at Avdia, he increased his scoring output every year he's been in the league. And when he stepped into full-time starting role, his assist to turnover ratio has been consistent, just under 2-to-1. So he's a playmaker.
He's in the 80th percentile in rim finishing,
he's
or
a
spot-up
decent
shooting.
free throw shooter, about 74%. So he's not going to kill you there. I would think if you want him to make more plays, he will get to the line more often. He could probably get that closer to 80%. He's everything that Dalton Connect is with 4 years of NBA experience.
That's kind of what my point was. Like, as much as I like Dalton Connect, and I think Connect actually landed in a great spot. If you're going to fall to LeBron and AD. Yes,
perfect
please.
Spot.
And his coach was basically Dalton Connect. I don't know if Dalton Connect will ever have these averages. And that's That's why you pay a little bit of in some people's minds, a little bit of a premium for it. You are getting the wing that you saw do it in the league versus standing pat, using the 14th pick in a bad draft, and taking the guy that you haven't seen do it in the league. And I think that's kind of why I like this. That's why yesterday I said I thought they got the wing, they got a wing that they like, and they got the player that they liked the most on their board. Yesterday, for the Crone Zone, was a good draft day. You don't have to like it. You can think it's all going to blow up in their face and not succeed. That's okay. But for them internally, I promise you, they were celebrating. Yesterday was a great day in their eyes.
Absolutely. I would say on the Klingon front, the main questions that I have about him are, you mentioned the injury stuff. Like, just whenever you get a 7-footer, staying healthy, obviously a priority. And I'm just really curious to see how they go about the minutes and how much volume he's playing. You know, that was the thing about him at UConn. Year one, he didn't start. He was the backup, and he only played like 13 minutes a game. He was not in there a ton. And he was a good reserve. They won a national championship. He steps into the starting role in year two. And even as a starter, I mean, he was only playing barely 20 minutes a night.
I think it was just over 20.
Just over 20 a night. And so some of those games are foul trouble. Some of that game is just, we're blowing people out, so we only need him 20 minutes a night, right? So there's different reasonings for that, of just the high volume nature, the conditioning aspect, and what kind of workload can you eventually put on him. I think you're in a good spot with Ayton in the short term to say, we don't need you to start right away. You're going to come in as our backup big. I don't see him and Ayton fitting as, I saw a lot of the Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert stuff last night.
That's different.
That's completely different. Gobert is a defensive big who can protect the rim. Karl Anthony Towns is more of an offensive guy who can space the floor. That's why they can yin and yang. DeAndre Ayton and Donovan Klingon are not that. They are, neither of them are standing out of the 3-point line knocking down shots like Karl Anthony Towns is. So that fit on the floor at the same time is going to be unique. And I think that's where you can give him a little bit of a runway to see where he goes and how long it takes him to get to that point where he's able to play 30, 35 minutes a night, because that's just something that he has not been asked to do yet at a high level of basketball.
Tyler Metcalf of the No Ceilings podcast, they do a great job covering the NBA draft. He's going to join us at 7:30 today. So we'll get his thoughts on what the Blazers did at number 7, the trade that they made, how the draft kind of all shook out. He'll join us. Coming up next, I'll read a few thoughts from some listeners, and then Joe Cronin's own words on Donovan Klingon, who the Blazers took at number 7. Dirt and Sprague back with more on The Fan.
The Herd with Cullen. This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, Tyler Metcalf of No Ceilings NBA podcast coming up for the ticker. Ken Barkley at 8 a.m. at the top. Does he like the clinger for Rookie of the Year?
We got to celebrate his Florida Panther win, too.
You got to give the Ice Cats their due. And then at 8:30, Denny Avdia was traded to the Blazers yesterday. Nobody watched him play. Chase Hughes did. He'll join us at 8:30.
That he did.
Still a loaded show to go, and we've had a lot of discussion already. Reminded you guys yesterday, the 1080 The Fan merch locker at 1080thefan.com is up. T-shirts are available. Want to highlight again, the T-shirt to really push for me right now is the Mike Lynch approved ALS T-shirt up there. It says Swinge, S-W-I-N-J.
Take a swinge.
He was supposed to spell swing on the air years ago. He spelled it S-W-I-N-J for some reason. Everybody has those moments. But it's more of a laughing, good-natured shirt. And all of the proceeds and profits going to Mike's GoFundMe account, 1080thefan.com. And also wanted to give a shout out and thanks to 10 Barrel for hosting us yesterday for the NBA draft. Great folks over there at 10 Barrel. And thank you guys for coming out, hanging out, catching the draft, and enjoying the beverages that 10 Barrel serves us. Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6326. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. We got 2 tweets to us.
What do we got?
First one's from Dick Burns, because of course it does. Best part of last night.
Are you serious?
I think we now see the plan. This is kind of into Swag's point. I think we see now the plan and direction. We're going to build around this team, 21-year-old Shaden, 20-year-old Scoot, 20-year-old Donovan Clingan, 23-year-old Denny Avdia.
Let the kids play.
And to their point, most important, 2025 pick is looming.
Yeah.
Andrew says, the most exciting prospect for me, both Avdia and Clingan appear to be good passers. With their size and touch, they should find Shaden, Scoot. Tamani, please hit a 3 this year in very good positions for easy points. And that's the thing is Joe Cronin talked last night about them, and he talked about what Clingan can mean to them defensively.
Donovan, to me, is an interesting defender. Of course, he's more of a drop big that's best around the rim. I mean, it's what he does best is protect the rim. But his IQ and his feel and his ability to navigate and react and, play the right angles or, adjust his depth depending on, who you're playing against and what you're trying to take away. I think Donovan's going to be a nice, versatile defender that, in general is just going to up our defense, something that we've continually tried to do and we're starting to get better at, but we still have a long ways to go there. I think rim protection, has been a big hole of ours, and Donovan helped solve that problem.
He also, Dirt, talked about playing with Scoot Henderson.
Anytime you get a defensive anchor that can play behind, your talented guards, I think that's a huge part of this, but also, someone that can play, do a good job on the other side of the ball. He's a great screen setter. He's going to be a good roll guy. He's got great hands. He's got a good feel. He can pass. He can play off the move a little bit. He's got some work to do, like a lot of young big men, but we like where he's headed skill-wise.
Got some other cuts from Cronin on Donovan Clingan, and an important one that you noted that stuck out to you, but there's Joe a little bit on the clinger.
Yeah, defensively, I think you're getting a really good player. We saw that at UConn last year. We knew how good defensively they were as a team, and that should be something that translates pretty quickly to the NBA. I think the interesting part about Clingan is where can his offensive game evolve and go, and how does that look 3-4 years down the road? I go back to a conversation we had with Ben Golliver, who we tried to have on yesterday. We'll have him on again soon. But we did a YouTube overtime with him a number of weeks back, prior to the NBA playoffs beginning. And we talked about the offseason for Portland and things that they should be looking at, yada, yada, yada. And he touched on DeAndre Ayton and Scoot Henderson just being a oil and water fit, because Scoot Henderson is a guy who is not a great volume shooter. He is an attack downhill point guard. And in order for that to be functioning at its highest level, you need to unclog the area of the paint. You need to get big bodies out of the way so Scoot Henderson can be and be the player that we want him to be and live up to his full potential. Mm-hmm. That's where I think it's interesting with Clingan of Can he be a guy that maybe you could sit out there at 15, 16, 17 feet a little more often? Can he develop that touch? Doesn't have to be a high-volume three-point shooter, but can he develop that game to where he's not just somebody roaming the middle? He frees up space offensively for everybody else, and that helps Scoot Henderson. But I am very excited about the idea of them getting to play together and them getting to run the pick and roll together, and Scoot attacking downhill and Klingon rolling and throwing down lobs from him. It's a very exciting thought for Blazer fans.
A very interesting thing came out of this presser. I think our buddy Sean Hyken noted it on Twitter as well. It was only a 13-minute press conference. It was a little late, so each media member kind of got to ask 2 questions and then move on.
They can't talk about the trade yet because it's not official till like July 6th, so they can't answer any questions on that.
Also, they've got 2 more picks in the second round, so we'll see what they do with those. But in talking about kind of what they're building around, just listen to the way Joe Cronin says this in the names that he specifically cites when talking about building around things.
We've got to continue to build this talent base, and we're committed to Scoot and Shaden being a massive part of what we're doing. And how do we find ways to give them the support they need and make them better and maximize their development? So it's continually seeking players that we can add to this roster that we can grow with and build together with.
Specifically committed to Scoot and Shaden. And I don't think Joe means to say some of these things in a way that makes guys like us go, oh, you didn't name Ant. Finally not naming Anthony Simons in this. I think Jeremy's going to get traded this summer. He's a pretty hot commodity. It seems like all the intel is saying that.
Yep.
I don't know what the timeline of trading Ant is, but Joe kind of saying it out loud of like, we're committed to this, and this is Scoot and Shaden, which may or may not work, but I think most Blazer fans would agree, hey, whoa, we've picked a lane.
Thank you.
We are finally exiting into a lane. Yes.
We don't have 17 guards on the roster. Well, at least shortly we won't have 17 guards on the roster. To me, honestly, that was one of the biggest developments of the night. I know the trade was a big deal and everybody wanted to talk about it, react to it. Getting Klingon at 7, many people didn't think he would actually fall there, so big development there. I thought this, like, if you're power ranking Mount Rushmoring the biggest headlines of yesterday, this is number 3 on the list. And I don't know if it's just a Freudian slip of like, hey, I accidentally forgot to say his name.
See a virgin slip?
Freud, what's the word I'm looking for?
Freudian.
Thank you. I didn't say virgin.
It sounded
but
like
I didn't
you said
say
virgin.
I definitely didn't say virgin, but I don't think I correctly pronounced it. But this was, to me, one of the biggest things of the night last night was them finally acknowledging of, like, these 3 guards don't work. It doesn't make sense. We've used the number 3 pick and the number 7 pick on our new backcourt. This is our new backcourt, and it is time to build around them. Anthony Simons has, 2 years left on his deal? So that is a quickly expiring thing. Move him now. Get as many assets as you can. Let's see what Scoot and Shaden can do. Build out this runway for them. If that happens this offseason, I'm thrilled as a Blazer fan.
What does Tyler Metcalf of the No Ceilings podcast think of the Blazers landing Klingon at 7? What's he make of Denny Avdia getting traded to Portland and how the whole draft shook out? Tyler Metcalf joins us for the Daily Ticker next on 1080 The Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, Portland as active as anyone on day 1 of the NBA draft. The trade was reported before the Hawks were put on the clock, where Portland will send the rights to the number 14 pick, Bub Carrington, along with Malcolm Brogdon, a future first and 2 future second-round picks to the Wizards for forward Denny Avdia. The deal expected to be done July 6th. Then Joe Cronin went and used the number 7 overall pick to take 7'2" center Donovan Klingon out of the University of Connecticut. Top 2 picks coming from France. Zachary Rissache going number 1 to Atlanta. The Wizards took Alex Sarr at number 2. Biggest surprises, Memphis Grizzlies grab Zach Edey at number 9. Dalton Connect falling all the way to the Lakers at 17. Round 2 gets underway today at 1 o'clock. Full coverage on 910 ESPN Portland. Elsewhere in the NBA, multiple reports indicating OG Anunoby, after opting out of the remainder of his deal, is expected to sign a 5-year max deal to stay with the Knicks when free agency begins. It'll be valued at $212 million. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand at the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has new shirts from the fan shows and hosts you love. Get yours stories can slip through the cracks.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules.
Pelican Brewing presents The Daily Ticker, where Dirt and Sprague visit with the insiders that are covering the stories you've heard about, and some you haven't.
How'd you do that? Actually, I'm not even mad. It's amazing.
The Daily Ticker with Dirt and Sprague is poured by Pelican Brewing. Be ready for your next afternoon vacation with Beak Breaker Tropical. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach.
All right, Daily Ticker time here on a Thursday, brought to you by Pelican Brewing. Visit pelicanbrewing.com for more details on locations, events, award-winning beers, independently brewed since 1996. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach. The Blazers were busy yesterday making a trade and landing Donovan Clingan with the 7th overall pick. Joining us now to talk about all of that and his thoughts on how they did on NBA Draft Night is Tyler Metcalf of the No Ceilings podcast, No Ceilings NBA on Twitter. At TMetcalf11 is where you can find him. Tyler, good morning to you, man. Thanks for the time in Portland. You know, a lot of these mocks kept having Clingan potentially fall to 7 with like the disclaimer of, I don't think he'll be there, and Portland would be thrilled if he gets there. I imagine that they were thrilled. What was your take of them taking the UConn big man with the 7th overall pick?
I loved it. You kind of mentioned the mocks, and we were kind of guilty of that too, where it's like, all right, is he going to go 1? And if not 1, then could he possibly be there at 7? And it always felt like a reach because of how talented and how much upside there still is with him, where hey, if he starts to fall, someone's surely got to trade up for him. But this really did feel like one of the best case scenarios for the with him falling 2-7 for them.
You talk about the ceiling for him. I'm kind of curious, even though you guys run with the label No Ceilings. What is when we think of Donovan? What is it offensively? We know defensively he's good in what he was. What is it for him offensively when you watch him play?
I think there's some very legitimate, like Mark Gasol type of outcomes with him, where there's so much more passing to his game than he really has been able to unlock. We got flashes of it. In his freshman season, we got a few more flashes of it with some of the really cool and creative actions that UConn ran this year. From his freshman to his sophomore year, his assist rate doubled while his turnover rate got cut in half. There's some really fascinating playmaking and versatility out of short roll, creating from the top of the key, from the elbow, that kind of stuff where he just makes everyone around him better. And then he's also a fantastic screener. And every scout and exec that I had asked about this, they all think he's going to shoot it in some form or fashion, not necessarily at like a Kristaps Porzingis, like Karl Anthony Towns prolific rate, but enough where he can, hit a trail 3 or pick and pop type of stuff. It's a couple of games that kind of forces the defense to respect it a little more.
Interesting. I think that's music to the ears of Blazer fans, especially opening up the paint a little bit for Scoot.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the offensive upside and the defensive prowess that we know he brings. What are the big question marks? Is it injuries? Is it the minutes he played at UConn? If you're circling like, hey, this is a concern or that's a concern, what is it about Clingan that makes you wonder about his fit in the NBA?
Yeah, health is definitely the first big one. It's always a little concerning when 7'2", 280-pound guys have multiple foot injuries in the same season. Apparently, they were unrelated and just unfortunate kind of fluke things early in the season. And we saw that once he got healthy and really hit the ground running as the season progressed, there weren't any issues. And he lost a ton of weight, really transformed his body going back to high school, where as a freshman, he really leaned down. And then his sophomore year, he got substantially stronger. With how available all of the medicals and stuff were for teams this year, I really start to become a lot less worried about potential health issues, because if there was something really glaring or really concerning with him, it would have come out in some form, and I don't think he necessarily would have been there would have been the 7th overall pick, let alone being in conversation for the 1st overall pick. So it's the big thing at this point is just conditioning and how many minutes can he play. I think with Portland, it's really kind of easy to ease him into that and not overstress his body, because he's probably going to be the backup center while Ayton continues to start. So that alone kind of limits the workload and allows him to ease into the NBA context and workload a little more comfortably.
Why do you think Dalton Connect fell all the way to the Lakers? I don't. There were some stunning things I think that happened yesterday. I audibly gasped when I saw Detroit took Ron Holland at 5. I think he was 50-1 on Vegas Sports at 5. Why did Dalton Connect fall all the way to 17 to the Lakers?
No clue. Honestly, no clue. It makes zero sense. You mentioned the Pistons at 5, and it's like, all right, this might be a little bit of a reach, but it makes sense. He fills everything that they need. And basically from 5 on is like, oh, surely this could be Connect. Surely this could be. And we just kind of kept going. And the Lakers got incredibly lucky. Yes, he's older. Yes, the defense isn't there. But this was arguably the best scorer in the entire country who regularly dropped 30-plus points a game again in SEC competition. He was everything for that Tennessee offense. If you took him off that Tennessee team, they might have had one of the worst offenses in the country. And instead, they were one of the best teams in the country for most of the year. So the defense is bad, but when he's not asked to create everything on offense, I think he has the size and the where he can at least be on that end. And then when you put him in a more of that off-ball scoring role, he can be that second-side creator and playing off of guys like LeBron and AD. He's going to get a ton of really fascinating looks. So I think they struck gold at 17.
Interesting. We're talking with Tyler Metcalf of No Ceilings, the No Ceilings podcast at No Ceilings NBA at T Metcalf 11 on Twitter. You can go give him a follow there. I'm watching the first round last night, and I don't recognize half the damn names. I read them in mocks, but I'm like, I've never seen this guy play, never heard of this guy. Who the hell is this guy? So I imagine today will be no different. You know what you're talking about. The Blazers have a pretty early pick in the second round. I think they have 2 of the first 10 or whatever. Any names, anybody that's still left that you're looking of like, how did that guy fall or that guy make sense? What are we looking at here in the second round today?
Yeah, and just kind of in the vacuum, Tyler Kolek, point guard from Marquette, was a really kind of surprising fall. His name was even getting mentioned with Miami up at 15, and a lot of intel was pointing to Phoenix at 22, so him falling out of the first entirely was kind of surprising. Kyle Filipowski from Duke, kind of toolsy, power forward center, projects to shoot it, really physical, really good rebounder. Another name kind of surprising that he fell out. And then Johnny Furphy from Kansas is a really fascinating kind of long-term play, ton of upside, 6'9" wing, had an incredible shooting month in January and February, and just kind of took over that Kansas offense. Once Kevin McCullough got hurt, Furphy became like the only perimeter scoring option, so defenses loaded up on him, and the numbers kind of fell off. So his rebounding, the shooting upside, the physical tools, he's really, really exciting going forward. Might take some time, needs to get a lot stronger, but I think he's one of the better kind of long-term plays and home run swings in the early second round.
What did you make of the Blazers trade with the Wizards? Nobody out here watches Wizards basketball. They were god-awful. Denny Avdia had a pretty nice season for himself. They traded Malcolm, the first at 14, the first in 2029, 2 seconds. What is your observations of Denny Avdia, the player, and what he's been so far in his career? What did you think of the trade when you saw it come through?
I love the trade for a couple of reasons. First, the Blazers kind of kept getting mocked, these high upside but really raw wings at 14. And I think they're getting a guy who's just kind of ready to contribute to winning basketball right away in Denny instead. So I don't think they necessarily would have been able to grab someone of Denny's caliber at 14 regardless. And at the start of Denny's career is kind of a frustrating development because he was used as just a spot-up shooter, but he was always just a iffy shooter at best. And this last year, they put the ball in his hands a little more, allowed him to get out in transition, create for others, be a secondary, tertiary creator. And he just took a massive leap. They were so much better with him on the floor than off. He became one of the better perimeter wing defenders in the league this year. I think this was a really, really good move. And then just you look at the contract alone, he's only making $15 million this year, and he's on the books for another 4 years, and it's a descending contract. So by the time that this contract is up, he'll only be making $11 million. From the basketball side, from the cap side, I thought it was a really, really smart move by the Blazers.
So not an overpay.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great stuff. Tyler Metcalf, go give him a follow on Twitter at TMetcalf11, the No Ceilings podcast at No Ceilings NBA. Thanks so much for the time. I know you guys are busier than hell with the first round, second round, so we really appreciate the breakdown here in Portland, and hopefully we can catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. There you go. Good stuff. Tyler Metcalf. No overpay for him. Loves the move and thinks Portland's doing jumping jacks because Donovan Clingan fell all the way to number 7. Big fan of the pick.
We got Marc Gasol.
We got baby. We're teaming Baby Kobe and Marc Gasol now.
I mean, come on.
What's Scoot? We need a comp for Scoot though. What's our Scoot comp?
Black Stockton. I love it. I mean, come on, pick and pop, baby.
Black Stockton, Marc Gasol, Baby Kobe. Who's stopping this team? Who's stopping this team?
Wait till we add Rui Hachimura to it.
Let's get to the rest of the NBA dealings from last night. Dalton Knecht falling, big surprise.
Yeah.
Comments from a former NBA player about who went number 1.
That was great.
What do we make? Opening round of the draft. How do we feel about it? We'll dive into some of those thoughts coming up next on The Fan.
Who's stinking it up?
Do not go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainsplumbing.com.
With the 9th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Zach Edey from Toronto and Purdue University.
Yeah, there's Adam Silver at the podium. Was that booing or was that like, oh my God, a top 10 pick?
Who's our buddy in Memphis who does the Masters updates? What's his name?
Chris Vernon.
Chris Vernon.
He said I would, yeah.
He said basically if they take him at number 9, he said, I'm disappearing. I'm never showing up again. And now everybody's on and watches. He's going to show up to do his show today.
I don't like that you put this in this, but I guess I'll play the game. Who's stinking it up? I guess the Grizzlies taking Edey at 9. Brought to you by Three Mountains. Guys, home services now. Making plumbing and electrical services delightful. Let the pros tackle the projects you need completed. Schedule an appointment online. Three Mountains Home Services. That's threemountainshomeservices.com.
It's the Vancouver Ford text line. And Sprague Crunch, the hot topics you want to hear.
What's the pressure? Don't sit here and act like there's no... We get nervous teeing off in front of a gallery on the 10th hole at Eastmoreland.
Crunch Time, brought to you by Crunch Fitness, with memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com.
Hey, Crunch Time is brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 a month. Find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, online at crunch.com. I just spilled coffee all over my headphones, so, things are going great. Things are just...
Well, the Marc Gasol comp
going
really
wonderful. It got me too excited. I started shaking about Marc Gasol being a Blazer, and so I'm going to clean and host a radio segment because I'm a multitasker, and
My
that's
God,
what we do.
Could you imagine if he became Marc Gasol? That would be unbelievable.
That would be a hell of a pick, Bob. That would be a hell of a pick. Let's get to the rest of the first round. We haven't talked about anybody else yet. A player that we mentioned yesterday who won College Basketball Player of the Year.
2 times.
Well, no, not Zach Edey. We're not talking about Zach Edey here. Frank Mason, because we got on a conversation about Zach Edey, and that led to Frank Mason was at one point the Basketball Player of the Year.
We had forgotten about Frank Mason.
I had completely forgotten about Frank Mason, and we couldn't tell you what college he played for, and then we had to look it up. He is currently playing overseas, and I believe was in the same league as Zachary Risager, the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Apparently he was, yeah.
And he was asked about Risa Sher being the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. And he basically responded with, that guy's the number 1 pick? Okay.
Said he played him last year, and he's like, there's no way that guy's the number 1 pick. Really?
So that kind of tells you about the draft and how people were feeling about it. What were the biggest? What teams are we making fun of? What teams do we think had a good night? How do we feel about night 1 of the NBA draft?
I mean, this is no different than the NFL, is it? We all have opinions on these prospects.
I want your takes. Give me your takes. Hot takes. Who are we making fun of?
The Risa Shea one it's a hell of a swing because people that watched him play note several times when they watched him, guy didn't do a whole lot.
Guy wasn't that good.
Didn't do a whole lot. A lot of untapped potential, but you kind of get it with the height, right, and what his kind of skill set is. I just think if we would have been in an Atlanta radio show yesterday, we would have been debating, do they go Risa Shea or do they go Alex Sarr, who didn't want to work out and be here?
He didn't even show up and work out for him.
I'm taking him.
Even though he didn't show up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephon Castle wants to only be on a team without a point guard. If I like him enough, I'll take him. He's Josh Hart, maybe.
Yeah, you don't get to dictate where you go.
Yeah, and then also, what if we build around you and suddenly change the way you feel about us? It feels like they kind of got scared off by Sarr and said, we'll take the upswing. I just think Atlanta's a weird team. I think the whole the makeup of the roster. What are they doing with Trey? What are they doing with DeJounte?
Yeah, maybe trading them both.
I thought Quinn Snyder was going to be a great hire, and he might still be, but I don't know. I don't understand the team building part of their situation. Detroit, wow. 50-1 Ron Holland to be a top 5 pick yesterday.
Yeah, he was getting mocked anywhere from most of them I looked at, kind of back end top 10 potentially, and then mainly in that 10 to 14, 15 range.
There were mocks where people were like, is he going to fall out of the lottery? And Detroit just said, we'll fix his shooting. Can't shoot a lick. I've heard comps to him of Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. That's it. And I don't know how that makes you feel, but I remember that jump shot.
It's not making you feel
good.
But
we'll see. Some people think the shooting coach in Detroit is going to fix everything. And then I think naturally, I think you could put us in this. People around the country that are talking about the NBA draft, I think Portland's going to come up. What are they doing there? They got Dwop. They got Rob Williams coming back. DeAndre's still starting. And they took a center.
Mm-hmm.
I think we maybe kind of have a better feel of our own situation of Rob Williams can't stay healthy.
No.
Like you, Dwop, but okay, you're not for long.
No.
And DeAndre's not the future.
Dwop's a great 4-5 tweener guy off the bench, energy guy, can block shots.
Plays 9 minutes, you know.
That's what, that's his
fantastic.
role.
15 minutes a game.
The kind of guy we love in this city and pretend as if he's an all-star.
Protects whoever your starter is from having to play extended minutes and getting into foul trouble, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I didn't really understand the Dalton dropping thing. Maybe that's just age, and if that's it, then okay.
Talk about a fit, though. A place where they're not looking to develop a guy. They're looking to try and win now, and you need shooting and floor spacing around LeBron and Anthony Davis. That he could not have asked for a better fit.
I can't believe how lucky they got. Like
they get nice things in L.A.
They do.
They tend to get nice. They get the country club boys. They
Couldn't
do.
have screwed that up. Just fell in your lap.
You really liked him then. I didn't know you liked him that much.
I
loved him.
I like make that one. Age has to be the only argument, right? That's the only thing.
Which I don't.
But he's 23. Like we don't know how any of these guys are going to be at 23.
You're only going to get a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option.
Yeah.
This
He's
is the NFL thing.
When you got to decide if
Bo and Penix too old, don't want to draft him.
Yes, it's all this is. Stop it. Well, I did hear Russillo say if you actually look at the history of the older player, it's like kind of the Wesley Johnson from Syracuse. It's not a great track record, but I don't operate in that sphere. I operate player to player.
Also, the current game is if you can shoot, you can play.
He
till
shot almost 40%.
I know.
Yeah, and I think his uncontested 3 numbers were insane too. Like when he wasn't guarded, his 3-point numbers were almost 50% on the year.
It's going to be a very odd thing to watch.
Like
Austin
he's
Reeves.
going to be like if LeBron and AD stay there and play most of this year, they're not, don't get injured or don't have to take every other game off. They're going to say, you leak out. We are throwing it ahead to you on the break and fire away.
I learned
that's what they're going to do.
Devin Carter out of Providence, who fired up a lot of mocks at the kind of last month of this thing. I didn't know his dad was Anthony Carter.
I didn't either. I also know that he needs a haircut. Losing it a little bit of. As a fellow going bald
fading.
man,
it's fading.
Like, just give up, buddy. Give up. What are we doing there?
Him and Derek Lively.
Yeah.
Derek Lively's got long afro, but that thing ain't starting to the middle of his head.
What are we doing?
And then Edie. I mean,
what do the Edie bros make? Did the Edie bros, you like the fit in Memphis? You guys are big on Edie. You like that fit?
I think Memphis is very torn on this.
Jaren Jackson and him at your 4 and your 5.
Oh, I think that can work.
That can work.
Yeah.
Ja throwing him lobs. I mean, the anti-Edie take in Memphis was that they wanted somebody who is a high flyer, a guy who is Ja Morant's going to drive
I think
and lob it up.
They need more than anything else is some consistent 3-point shooting.
I mean, they need Ja Morant to not get in trouble and play and stay healthy. That's what they need.
Hey, there's the bingo right there. Ja Morant plays, they're a better team.
That will help.
I don't know.
Make Edie look better.
I was surprised. I mean,
doesn't he fit the makeup of them though?
He does, but
is he a grit and grinder? We feel like Edie's a grit and grinder.
Yeah,
he's the ultimate grit and grinder.
He is.
But
you're damn right. Come out like the ultimate warrior, but the grit and grinder.
You didn't need to use the number 9 pick. Could you not have backed down?
They wanted a big. And look, what did yesterday tell you guys? Because this is what it told me. Not the draft to move. Not giving you much to move in a draft.
No, I'm not moving up in that draft.
Memphis wanted Klingon.
Yeah.
And Charlotte said, hey, we're open. And they said, not for that price.
Yeah, no.
And so Charlotte's like, let's take the swing on the 6'10" raw guy. Like, it's not highly thought of as a draft. We don't know if we're going to get Marc Gasol or if this dude's going to be not the center of our future. The draft was the draft, and it was exactly the kind of draft we thought it'd be, a little unpredictable, not a high-end, like, hey, I want to trade up. And I'm not going to criticize, actually, Memphis. They wanted a center. They went and got one. He's 7'5".
Big thing now for the Blazers is is there somebody at 34? They picked 4th today.
They do?
That can actually make the rotation.
Well, they traded Malcolm, but they added Denny. They have to make more moves for these guys to fit on their roster. And I know you can do some two-way stuff with those guys in the G League.
With second-round picks and stuff, yeah.
But I just think yesterday highlighted not only the way they're team building, but I think if Jeremy Grant is imminent, personally, that's just my read on it. I'm not reporting anything. And maybe the Ant trade is possible. Maybe a team will step up. I
get some future draft capital and just keep loading up in that category, maybe.
Probably would have hated anything San Antonio did because Wemby's that good. But man, Castle. I mean, if Josh Hart as a point guard is a thing and he becomes that, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah. Well, it was an interesting night. I watched a good chunk of it. Kind of about halfway through the first round, I started doing some other stuff and kind of fading into the background. But
which broadcast did you watch?
I ended up watching the ABC one,
with
even
Malika?
though no, that was the one with Stephen A. Smith and Bob Myers. But I did.
Yeah, Malika was on ESPN. I watched the ESPN.
That's
one.
what I watched.
I think it's so stupid having people come on and announcing the pick before the pick.
Well, Woj got pissed at Shams is what happened because he wasn't ruining the draft, and then he found out Shams was, and then he started
I was
doing
watching
it.
ESPN, and then all of a sudden I'm like, dude, stop giving me the – I know who's likely going to go here, but I'm not on social media during the draft. I don't care what everybody's saying. I just want to sit there and enjoy the show, and I don't want to know the answer before it even gets there.
My wife doesn't know who Stephen A. is, and he was screaming about the Lakers pick.
He's like, you gotta take down, get a shooter.
And my wife in the background was just like, shut up.
Shut guy is so
up.
annoying.
And then nothing summed him up being on draft coverage, which I know you pay him a lot, but really, the Knicks pick. They drafted a French guy that I don't know, and he's making this face, and I think it was, who was with him? Was it Dari?
Dari was the host, and Bob Myers was there.
Hear me out, hold on. Like, having Stephen A. be on the draft, but not even knowing who his own team is taking, chef's kiss of course.
$18 million a year, Bob, $18 million a year. We got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show. We're going to go to D.C. coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get the thoughts on the trade from their perspective, and how do they feel? How are Wizards fans feeling today? Let's start the final hour, though, with our good buddy Ken Barkley, who cashed a big ticket. How does he feel about futures for Rookie of the Year in the NBA? How's Ken Barkley doing? We start with the final hour with him next on 1080 The Fan.
Don't miss the outdoor living and deck.
Fan, an Odyssey sports station. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, Blazers not wasting time getting involved in the NBA draft as the trade was reported even before the Hawks were on the clock that sent the rights to the number 14 pick, Bub Carrington, along with Malcolm Brogdon, future first and 2 future second-round picks, to the Washington Wizards for forward Deni Avdija. That deal should be done by July 6th. Joe Cronin using the number 7 overall pick to take 7'2" center Donovan Clingan out of the University of Connecticut. Day 2 coming up. Round 2 gets started 1 o'clock this afternoon. Portland has picks 34 and 40 to start the proceedings. Full coverage over on 910 ESPN Portland. Elsewhere in the NBA, multiple reports indicating OG Anunoby will sign a 5-year max deal to stay with the Knicks when free agency opens up. It's being valued at $212 million. PGA Tour In Detroit, the Rocket Mortgage Challenge at the Detroit Golf Club. Rookie Nick Dunlap, 7 under par through 13, has a 2-shot lead over Kevin Streelman. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand at the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high def 1080 The Fan.
Boys, put down your utensils. I want to talk to you about something real quick. If there's anything that you want to talk about, any kind of secrets, now's the time to put it on the table, okay? And if you tell me, we're not going to be mad.
This is Dirt and Sprague.
I went to the petting zoo and I let the goat lick my butt. No, honey. Promise you wouldn't get mad, okay? They're being honest.
With Andy Dirt Johnson and Brendan Sprague.
One time I put a firefly in my butt. Why? To make my farts glow.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080.
I touched myself to Drew Carey on the Price is Right.
God. Okay, that's enough. Stop, please.
The Fan.
Hey, let's do this. Final hour. Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app. Live on YouTube as we are every day. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Thursday. Today's Thursday, right? Yeah, it's a Thursday.
It is Thursday. It feels like a Friday.
It is. I'm all lost and confused.
Let's start coffee. You've been ruined.
I got coffee on my headphones. It's just my whole day's over now. On the line is the host of You Better You Bet Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, Ken Barkley. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Also, be sure to listen to the You Better You Bet podcast for more of Ken Barkley's analysis. Just search You Bet wherever you find your podcast. At Lockie Lockerson on Twitter. Ken Barkley, good morning to you and congratulations on your Florida Panthers. How we feeling, Ken? Are we feeling good?
Yeah, we feel good. So your producer texted me the morning. What was that? Monday was games. God, this series took 9 weeks. It feels like.
Yes.
So Monday morning, he texted me and he's like, "Can you just?" The guys really want to know, our viewers are just like, how you doing? Like, are you okay? Is everything all right? And I think I don't have it up in front of me, but I think I was like really confident in Game 7.
Yes.
I was not confident in Game 5 and Game 6. I actually bet against them in at least one of those games. And in Game 7, I just and this will play into something you guys actually pitch me all the time, and I kind of shoot down. But I do think there are situations where it applies, which is so we can all. It's like the handshake emoji, like we're finding common ground here in these really big, high-level championship events. When there is like a really significant market move, I mean, it's dead wrong like every single time. I mean, it's just always wrong. And this series,
the masses are asses. Is that what you're telling us, Ken? The masses are asses.
It's not like bet splits and who the public's on, because those aren't, you don't see that in the market. Like you would have no idea who everybody was on, but like movement. So like the Panthers in Game 5 were a huge favorite at home. I mean, big, they're like minus 160 for people who don't know what that means. Like they were a really big favorite to win Game 5 at home, and they lost obviously. And in Game 7, they opened like a pick, like 50-50 each way, and then Edmonton closed a favorite. And so you look and you just go, I mean, like, cool, like Edmonton has played very well. What? Like, what are you talking about? And so when you see that, I mean, there's 100 examples of when you get to these just big ass sporting events, just like if something like that, if everybody just kind of thinks and bets and it moves, something just like has to happen. Man, it seems like the opposite happens a lot of the time. So I actually woke up and I saw that in the market and I go, oh my God, like they're going to win. Like, oh my God. Which not with any certainty, but I was like very encouraged because for the first time in the series, nobody wanted to bet them.
Yeah.
First time. Everybody wanted to bet the Panthers every game, the whole series. And then finally they had enough stink on them because of what had happened in Game 6 that everybody was like, nope, best player, McDavid. And it's like, ha, ha, ha. Like, got him. Like right at the death, we got him. So yeah, it was awesome. It was a really fun day.
I found out something about 2 weeks ago, Ken, that you'd quite enjoy, and that was that my mother-in-law does not have my phone number in her phone. And so she never knows if I'm texting her or who I am when I call her, which is a little odd.
Oh, so you just show up as like 925 7 whatever the numbers are.
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, I love you, and I'm your son-in-law. Seems like maybe, and I have 2 grandchildren of yours. Maybe my name should be
maybe
in
I
your
should
phone.
be saved as
I
a
love
contact.
you.
Yeah.
Text her, I love you, and she's like, "Who's saying I love you? Like, who is this creepy
Happy
guy?"
Mother's Day. Who's wishing me a Happy Mother's Day?
Well, she is from Vietnam, so culturally she's not as big on like I love you too. Like she never says it
Got
back
it.
to me.
It's understood.
yeah.
It's understated.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like everybody knows what's going on.
My actions are my words. Shut up, white guy. But
Right. Yeah.
as somebody who has sent you
Sounds
a care
healthy.
package and told you that I've seen your house, I understand we're not best friends. I don't produce the show. I host the show, and you clearly don't have my number in your phone because
he's a
you
little
said
offended by this right now.
the producer.
You guys are
texted
basically neighbors, and you don't even have his phone
really?
number.
Yeah, that would be me, Brandon
that's
Sprague.
so bad.
Yeah, no,
That's really bad. Yeah. Well, you know what? But can I tell you something funny?
Yeah.
I have it in as just Portland. That's what I have it in as. So I don't. So it's not the numbers. It's not like. You know, I had it. It's like 6251 whatever, and it's like some spam.
Sure.
Portland.
Portland's reaching out. What does Portland want to know?
Portland's reaching out. Hello, like as if your name is like Jerry Portland.
Yeah.
And we're just like we're talking right now. So all of you collectively are just like Gerald W. Portland.
Okay.
That's like your name.
You couldn't
And
just.
so, I mean, to be fair, when one of you is reaching out, it's kind of like y'all are.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is
just
true.
a big family over there, right?
This is
You know,
true.
let's
This is
turn
how we
into a
operate.
positive.
You're not
Yeah.
wrong. You couldn't put Salmon Boy in it just because I sent you the
Yeah.
care package.
Or
like
creepy neighbor.
Creepy
Yeah.
neighbor. That would have been funny.
Creepy guy
Yeah.
staring at my
Call
house.
cops immediately. Yeah, it's like notify police.
Yeah,
let's
he's
either this
texting me
that.
again. Hey, that's your barbecue and steaks tonight, Ken. Nice.
Yeah. Well,
so
look at that Google Maps. You're going to see a lot of money now.
that's right. If we're acknowledging masses or asses, Ken, how long until we get an acknowledgement from you that there are trap games? Is that the next acknowledgement? Is traps around the corner?
Yeah.
It's well, you know what's funny? Like, so I is it a trap though? Because my thing is like, trap to me is like, well, the public's on something, but this wasn't like the public. This was like smart people and everyone, like all like it's like we all made like a big like heal the world circle of people, and it was just chanting like Edmonton Oilers, like that was happening in the game. Maybe like Earth got trapped. Like it wasn't like the public got, like this wasn't like Joe Public got trapped by
Earth got
like
trapped.
the Super Sharps or something, right? Like no, the Super Sharps got crunched too in this game because they've had Edmonton, and it just so I think it's maybe it's a trap, but then like my only thing is when the public gets in your fantasy world, when the public gets trapped, the Sharps are like, or Vegas is like doing the trapping.
Yeah.
Like there are other people. This one felt to me like, well, if everyone got trapped, who laid the trap? Right? This is almost like a metaphysical religious discussion, right?
We walked into our own trap here.
There's a Big Bang. Well, who made the Big Bang? It's like, who did that? Like this is that. So maybe we need a new word. Maybe a trap is kind of like in that parlance, like public and sharp and all that stuff. And this is, I don't know. Yeah, this is like the blind side or something where everybody bets the same thing and it moves aggressively. And my team won. And it was great.
I think I'm going to call it the Elmer Fudd. It's just somebody laid the trap. Who's going to step in it? How we feeling about this?
Be very quiet, right?
Yes,
I'm hunting Panthers. Right?
Yes, exactly. A buddy of mine texted me a couple days ago, actually. I think you'll enjoy this. He did a $10 5-player parlay in baseball, and he picked 5 players to hit a home run. Just a $10 bet, a little small unit, okay?
No, this is I'm into this.
Okay.
What can I? We're 3 of the players: Ohtani, Gunnar Henderson, and Aaron Judge. Because every single night they hit a home run. It's
yes,
like
they do.
Like I text people and I go, "Am I like missing the boat? Just like every day, should I just be parlaying these players and like Bryce Harper and like 3 other players?"
Yeah, what are the odds on like any given day home run bet?
So, I'll give it to you. So, real quick. So, these are the names he went with: Bryce Harper, over half a
just
home
hit
run,
a home run,
5 to 1.
To hit a home run.
Yes.
Yeah, to hit a home run.
Yandy Diaz. So he hit Harper. He hit Diaz. He hit
I don't know if I would have gone with Yandy Diaz.
But
Okay.
they clobbered the Mariners. He hit a homer.
Yeah.
He went Juan Soto against the Mets in the first game. He hit on that one.
Sure.
Springer hit one against the Sox. Adley Rutschman was 5 to 1 as well. He was the only one to not hit of the 5. His $10 bet would have been $95,000 had Adley Rutschman gone yard on that. And I only say that to ask you this. I threw this to my wife. I said, what would we do if I won $95,000? And we rattled off some stuff. What is Ken Barkley doing with his presumed $90,000 Florida Panther cash winnings? What are you doing with your money?
So I don't want to talk like I'm super rich, like in life, but I'm doing really well. Like things are going great, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think you reach a point where it's like not like nothing, kind of like I'm just good, like say everything's kind of in the right place and the accounts are full and kids are happy and like the college funds are getting filled up and the retirement's good and the house is good and it's just like, all right, so like what, like T-bills, like what are we going with here? I mean, I don't know. So I also, something about me, I am a very, very, very like minimalist, not materialistic person.
Yeah.
So like I don't even, it's not that I don't own these things. Like I don't like watches. Like I don't even want to own one. I don't want a nice one. I think the whole thing is stupid. I know what time it is. Like I got it. So, and then like a car, like, you know what I want in a car? Something that when I have to bring it in for the next like 10 years, 7 times a year to get it fixed, that it's not that expensive to do that. That's what I'd like to do. Because like, cool, like I could go buy a Ferrari. Like I could just go buy one right now. But then like every 3 months I'd have to put like $8,000 in it to get like a screw replaced or something. Right. It's like, sounds so fun to do that. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Like I don't know. Like I have gradually upgraded that. My wife has made me upgrade the wardrobe. That has happened many times actually in the last couple of years. So like that's happened. I no longer like I had a sweatshirt that I wore in high school still that was like in the rotation still. It was like still I had a sweater that I had.
How old are you, Ken? How old are you?
39.
39. Oh, wow. That made it a long time. Pretty proud that it still
made
fit, though,
it made
right?
it too long.
Yeah.
Too long is the right term. Yeah, I made it too. So, like, like we do some sprucing up and some upgrading, but honestly, like, you know what all the money's going back? And I have a home run story for a second. You know what all the money's going back to? More betting. That's like that's where it goes. That's what happens in this stuff. So, I have a story. What did your friends parlay? What was that going to pay?
It was going to pay $95K.
So first of all, I think you think that I'm going to be like poo-poo this idea that you should put in these parlays. I think this stuff's really fun.
Yes.
I think if you want to put in one of these, I think home run parlays. I used to go to Mohegan Sun, a casino here in Connecticut, with a friend of mine, and we would put in like 50 of these things, and then we would go to like a steak dinner, and we would turn home run notifications on, and our phones would only go off if there was a home run. Like there's a Twitter account like MLBHR or whatever. So we would only like the phone would only light up if it was a home run. And let me tell you, like eating steaks and then like you're just like whenever you get the buzz, like whenever it you don't see who it is because you have to like use your eyes to unlock the phone or whatever. You don't know who it is. And in that moment, it's kind of like when the lottery drawing takes place, right? Like it could be your guy. Like that could be
That's a hell of a night right there. Steaks and home runs. Let's go. That's a good Friday right there.
Like so I'm all in on this. I have a parlay now that pays about that. It pays like $106,000, and it needs one more thing to happen.
Whoa.
And
can you tell us what?
It won't happen for a very long time. So it was like a couple things that have already happened, and then the Panthers in Game 7. And Tennessee to win the College World Series, which I was also really big on. So all those have come in. And the fifth thing is actually next year's NBA title. It's actually because I was like, I have a theory. I think the Thunder are going to win the title next year. That's my theory.
The Thunder?
And I do. Yeah, they're like 9-1 right now. They're like the fourth choice. I think they're going to be the best team in the regular season. I think they might actually be the best team in the league next year. I think Boston will be a little tired, but still really good. I like the Thunder a lot. And I wanted to find a way to create this big bet on the Thunder, like going in, so I didn't have to bet them anymore. And I have done so, thanks to the Panthers, thanks to Tennessee, thanks to these other things. So there is just this like anvil weight bet sitting in my pending wagers where it's like, oh, you like a little bit of money on that, a little bit of money on that to win $106,000 on the Thunder. Like, okay, cool, whatever. And you're just like going through, you just go, wait, what? Like you like triple take every time you see it. So. Like who knows what the future of like me calling in every Thursday, you guys, me, whatever. If we make it to next June, let's just like all cross our fingers that like if the Thunder lift the trophy, that thing's coming in. So that'll be really good.
That's awesome. Well, you turned a lot of people in our audience into Florida Panther fans. That's how much they love you, and it was fun.
Awesome. And thanks to them, by the way. I got more follows and like DMs and messages. Like I mean, the Portland market when they put out the ratings, like who watched the Stanley Cup final?
Yeah,
the
it was
most?
exploding
Like,
out here, man.
like Miami, at Alberta, Canada, and then number 3, it's like Portland, Oregon. What the hell were those people doing?
We love Ken Barkley, man.
I love it, man. I love it. Ken Barkley is his name, at Lockie Lockerson. Go listen to You Better You Bet. They're awesome, and it's brought to you as always by BetGM. Go check BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. I want to get into Rookie of the Year stuff in the NBA, but we are completely out of time.
Next week.
We'll do that next week. Congrats on the big win, Ken. Always a joy. We'll chat again next Thursday.
Sounds good. I'm off for like 3 weeks going forward.
Oh, next week's the 4th of July. Yeah, no, we're off too. I'm an idiot.
And then I'm off like the whole month. Yeah,
okay.
Like I'm out.
Well, we'll chat to you.
I'll see you guys. I'll give you a one-word answer. What is the one betting thing that you wanted to know the answer to?
NBA Rookie of the Year odds.
Oh God, I haven't even looked at it yet. Someone on a team with no one else that's good.
Okay, there you go. Have a great vacation, buddy. We'll check in later this summer.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
There you go, Ken Barkley. It's a cool 106K just waiting on Oklahoma City to win the NBA title next year.
I know we're against it, but like that guy has $500,000 in the bank account, doesn't he?
I mean, he won a lot of money.
It sounds like he's very good at gambling.
Just funny when you ask how much my ticket of Edmonton would have, the comparison. It's like, dude, I don't even know how many times that would take to get to how much more he's going to make than me.
He casually just wrote, "No, could I buy a Ferrari? Sure."
Sure. Things are going good.
I wish I could buy a Ferrari.
Things are going good. Let's reset a little bit from yesterday. We'll get to Washington. Are going to go to D.C. at the bottom of the hour. Back after this on the Fan.
It's time for a sports injury report. The injuries and rehab that impact the success of sports teams. Brought to you by Rock Orthopedic.
Anytime you talk about a shoulder in this city, there's some scars that everybody has. So, but he'll be good to go come training camp.
That is Chris Ballard, the GM of the Indianapolis Colts, talking about his quarterback, Anthony Richardson, and the direction he's going coming off of shoulder surgery.
I'm curious to see how he's going to be in the pocket. You obviously want him to stay healthy. I don't buy that he's going to be just a pocket passer. You got to let him be what he is. Now, it's a little Lamar-ish here. Don't take the hits. He took way too many hits too early on. We'll see if he learns from that. If he can, he seems like a pretty good player going forward.
Sports Injury Report presented by Rock Orthopedic, board-certified specialists who diagnose and treat the widest range of orthopedic cases with care and expertise. To schedule an appointment with Dr. Brian Puskas, visit rocpdx.com.
The afternoon round of the 10th Annual Fan Golf Classic at Langdon Farms on Thursday, July 11th. Presented by Autotown GMC and brought to you by Michelob Ultra. is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Don't have much time here. We are going to go bottom of the hour and get the thoughts from Washington, D.C. Chase Hughes is going to join us. He's covered the Wizards. He also covers the NBA draft. So what's the reaction been in D.C. towards the trade? And we will get to that coming up here in about 10 minutes. I do want to take a quick peek because I don't know if we're going to have time in the final segment. We, of course, have to talk about Oregon's new uniforms. Everybody wants to talk about it. It's probably a bigger deal than what the Blazers did yesterday, if we're being honest here. Come on, what are we doing?
I got a duck uniform question that I think only you could answer.
And we'll just kind of tease because we're off tomorrow. There will be people keep asking. There will be a show. We're just both off tomorrow. I'm going down on a golf trip. It's your wife's birthday. You guys are heading out of town. Swag will be here doing the show.
I will be hosting, and Ortner will be in with me. Schultze will be producing. So we'll break down day 2. Travis Demers is going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. So
there will be a live show. Swag's going to be here. It's not a best of. It's not national programming.
No.
We're just
we'll
taking
be live in case the Blazers, do more stuff. We'll see what we think the second round players, whatever else happens in the draft, and then we'll see what else we got time for.
So I threw out a couple of questions yesterday. One of them I had a lot of fun with because I was in the camp of who the hell is this guy? I've never heard of him before, but everybody's telling me he's great. The Blazers added Denny Avdia. Now, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Avdia. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Avdia. I threw out a poll question yesterday. Did you know who Denny Avdia was 3 hours ago? Now, this was after the trade was executed. So 3 hours ago. Did you know? I didn't want to grade the trade. I didn't want any takes. Just simply, did you know who he was? And I appreciated the honesty. Now, a lot of people came out of the oh, look at you casuals. You casuals. Like, shut up. You weren't watching Wizards basketball last year. Just shut it, okay? I don't want to hear your crap.
I get all offended.
The casual stuff pisses me off. Like, I need to know who a small forward is on a 20-win team in D.C. If he wasn't traded to Portland, he is the most irrelevant player to us imaginable. I can't stand those people. Okay. Did you know who he was? I'm glad with the honesty. 62.9%. No, did not know who he is.
Yeah.
And now we do.
Yeah.
We get to go buy our Avdia jerseys.
I don't know if I'm doing that. I heard a snippet from Zach Lowe's pod with Gavoni, and they talked about the Klingon move, and he touched on this, and he graded it a B. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think that's about where I landed on it, too. You gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and Malcolm Brogdon, but the context matters. Who cares about second-round picks when you got 9 of them?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cared about the 14th pick yesterday. Malcolm was meh last year, in my opinion. You kind of wonder where his clock is, if it's ticking at all. And 2029 is 5 years from now. I'm not concerned about 5 years from now, especially when you have 3 in that same draft in that round. They got a position of need. I had heard of Denny Avdia. I watched him play in person last year. I know he had a good year. I'm not going to act like I watched a ton of him. I'm not going to act like I watched very many Wizards basketball games.
I don't think they were a hot commodity on NBA League Pass the last couple of years. I was going to go out on a limb and say that of sometimes there's bad teams, but you're like, hey, they're kind of entertaining to watch. Maybe I'll check them out. They were not in that category.
Well, they're trying to be bad.
They're trying to be bad.
And they were active yesterday, man.
They were.
They traded up. They went and got a lot of players.
We have another Cooper Flag contender. Brooklyn has thrown their hat in the mix, and Washington was already in the mix, but now they're even more in the mix.
I think Detroit is still going to be in the mix.
Oh,
still.
Detroit's going to be god-awful, too.
We're going to be in a 5-6 team race here because
battle
of that draft, and it might not just be Flag. There's other names to watch in that draft. But to the Avdia point, it's a position of need desperately. With Klingon, should help you defensively be better than what you were. He's right on the timeline.
23 years old.
It's the most team-friendly contract that you could ask for a player, I think, of his caliber. We can't nit. You can be unhappy with the franchise. You cannot like certain things. I still hate the coaching situation. If they're going to get you stuff that you do need along the way, even if you think it's a slight overpay, it's still we've been searching for a 6'9" wing. It's what we wanted out of that draft.
Mm-hmm.
And they got it. And they got it from a guy that's already played in this league and shown what he can do in this league.
Yep.
And you just hope going forward that he gets enough touches and continues to rise with the ceiling. I like it. I thought it was a good move. I thought it was a move that was necessary. And now we wait to see what they do with some of their other veterans, because I think there's going to be some real room here where they trade maybe a couple more names as well.
And I think to the overpay argument, we'll go to D.C. here in a moment because they have a different feeling about this of why the hell did we trade this guy. But I think on the overpay argument, even if I want to bring that up, a lot of that is tied to where does he go? Like, does he continue to improve? Does he build on the year he had last year and go shoot 39% from three? Does he go from 15-7 to 18-8 next season? And you're like, damn, he's only 24.
Yeah.
Because that overpay argument, and yes, I brought it up, 2 first-round picks and Brogdon. It's like, okay, that's a lot for a guy I've never heard of before. That's part of the reaction. I've never heard of him. But also, it evaporates if he continues to develop and evolve, which is clearly what Portland is banking on. And Schmitz loved him when he came out of the draft in 2020. We had threw one up on Donovan Clingan as well, 7th pick. Just how do you feel? Simply put, pretty unanimous. About 75% of the audience saying they either love it or they like it. Kind of an even split there, 38-37%. 20% or so gave it a, we'll wait and see.
Okay.
And then a very small percentage of people did not like the pick. And for those, I'd be curious to know why. Maybe you just wanted a different position. Maybe it's the centers being drafted by Portland that always gets you skittish. I'm not sure in a bad draft why you would not like that pick, but pretty universal love there for that one. Let's go to DC. Let's find out more about Avdia and what they're feeling in terms of the return that they got, and did they get fleeced? Because that's been kind of the sentiment I've seen online. Chase Hughes from DC, he's going to hop on. That's next. First Year Swag with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, Blazers, one of the more active teams on day one of the NBA draft, making a move before the Hawks went on the clock. A deal that will be finalized next week. Will send the rights to the number 14 pick of Bub Carrington along with Malcolm Brogdon, a future first and 2 future second-round picks to the Wizards for forward Denny Avdia. That deal, again, will be completed next week with the number 7 pick, Joe Cronin selecting 7'2" center Donovan Clingan out of the University of Connecticut. The top 2 picks, both coming from France, Zachary Rissache going number 1 to Atlanta. The Wizards then with the number 2 pick took Alex Sarr. Some of the surprises of the night, the Grizzlies took Zach Edey at number 9 overall. Dalton Knecht falling to the Lakers at number 17. Round 2 set to get underway today at 1 o'clock. Portland has picks 34 and 40. You can hear full coverage on 910 ESPN Portland. PGA Tour stopping in Detroit this week for the Rocket Mortgage Challenge. Carl Yuan has posted 4 under 68. He is in the clubhouse. Taylor Moore, Nick Dunlap, Cam Young, Aaron Rye, all at 4 under par. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand at the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's the Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. The NBA draft started yesterday at 5, but about an hour and a half, hour before, reports of a trade started to surface, that the Blazers were making a move and adding a wing. And let's go to D.C. to find out more potentially about that player. Denny Avdia was added via the Washington Wizards. Chase Hughes joins us now at Chase DC Sports on Twitter, part of the Wizards broadcasting crew, covers the NBA draft as well. Chase, thanks for the time out here in Portland, man. I got to be honest with you. Now, I threw up a poll question on our show Twitter account because we haven't watched a lot of Washington's Wizards basketball the last couple of years. And so I hear this name, and I'm like, the Blazers have added a wing. I've never heard of this guy before. And then you start looking in, okay, he's a lottery pick, had a really good year last year. What do we know about Denny Avdia, and where did things turn for him? Because he's been in the league for 4 years, but clearly a much different player last year for the Wizards than he was in the first 3.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. So it all began back in 2020. Denny Avdia was a really highly rated prospect in that draft. Coming out of Israel, he played in the EuroLeague for Maccabi Tel Aviv. And, you know, some of the mock drafts had him in the mix to be the 2nd or 3rd overall pick. The Warriors had the 2nd pick, ended up going with James Wiseman, but they reportedly really, really liked him. So he had this sort of unexpected fall on draft night. And the Wizards actually tried to trade up to get him. They tried to trade up to number 4 with the Chicago Bulls and weren't able to, and were really surprised that he fell to them at number 9. And he came in and right away won the starting job as their small forward and battled some inconsistency over the first 3 years of his career. Wasn't a great outside shooter, really kind of found his way first on the defensive end. But this past year, right after signing a contract extension, took a huge step forward. I think it was, you know, I've watched the Wizards and I've covered them for a really long time. I think it's the biggest step forward a young player has made on their team in maybe a decade, probably going back to like when Bradley Beal was early in his career. So Wizards fans and the Wizards were really pleased with his development. He signed the deal. It was starting to look like a bargain. But I think the Wizards, you know, are trying to get even younger and really take the long view with this rebuild. So they felt like they could part with him for the draft picks.
The funny part about what you just said, Chase, is I follow somebody that does a Warriors-related pod, and he's a pretty honest person when it comes to Warrior talk, and he saw this and he quote tweeted and said, "That's it. Damn." So I think they also regret taking James Wiseman and not maybe tapping into this. It's interesting. We got a mixed reaction, it feels like, at times here. Now, social media is probably not a good snapshot of how everybody feels. I'm curious, how have Wizards fans been handling all of this? Obviously, they're going a different direction, as you mentioned, with the youth, but he had just kind of maybe tapped into what he is as a player. How have you seen Wizards fans handle this?
Yeah, he's been a fan favorite, I would say, from the very beginning. You know, he's got a huge following that comes from Israel, but also just people around the globe of Jewish faith. And he really, you know, takes pride in representing a lot of people that is just bigger than basketball. And he's also just a very likable guy. So I think fans, you know, really appreciated how nice of a person he is and how down to earth he is. And, you know, just watching the progression and having seen so many young players come through Washington, a lot of them not reach their potential, and to see a guy starting to put the pieces together, begin as a versatile defensive wing, and then start to unlock the, you know, the ball handling and the passing skills that he showed as a draft prospect, and become a good outside shooter and become, you know, a two-way wing at 6'9", which is a pretty valuable player. So I think fans were sad to kind of see the news at first, but, you know, the Wizards ended up having a good night last night that I think a lot of fans really appreciate them drafting Bub Carrington with the 14th overall pick and just getting 3 first-round picks in this draft, given where the Wizards are in their rebuild, and knowing the sort of unpredictability of this draft, taking 3 bites at the apple increases your odds of getting a good player. So I think it's like kind of your head versus your heart. A lot of fans are sad to see Denny Avdia get traded, but they understand that there is some reasoning behind it.
Interesting. We're talking with Chase Hughes out in D.C., covering the Wizards at Chase DC Sports on Twitter. You mentioned him finding his groove on the defensive end and then the offense kind of following. Last year, just a massive jump in three-point shooting. I mean, 29% the year before, up to almost 38%. I mean, that is a big-time jump. He's a career about 32% three-point shooter. What do we make of his game and being able to stretch the floor? Is this just the beginning? Was that an outlier? How do we feel about his ability to shoot the basketball?
I think it was a breakthrough. You know, he's he's a really honest person and kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve, not only during games, but in press conferences. And he's kind of an open book. And, he's talked to us about how frustrated he was not having that breakthrough as a shooter through the first 3 years of his career, because you hear from coaches and teammates that, he's the type of guy who will be in the gym late at night. I mean, he puts in extra time, probably as much as any player on the team, and it just hadn't really broken through for him in the first 3 years. But finally this year, the shot started to fall. And, he has made some adjustments to his mechanics over the years. He had kind of a slow release when he first got into the league. He shortened that a little bit. And I think it's a matter of also just confidence coming from the work that he's put in. And he's become a good shooter. Now, he's at his best, I would say, in transition because it's 6'9". He's really fast for his size. And this past year, a big part of his development was just realizing that he's got a physical advantage over a lot of opposing players, especially when he's on the move. So, he kind of learned how to play bully ball in transition where a guy's standing in the way in the lane and he just goes right through him. So that combination, the ability to handle the ball with speed, shoot from the outside, and finish through contact at the rim has made him a very dangerous offensive player.
Chase, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, buddy, but you're in D.C. and all the way out here in Portland, you're making me feel things that I can't describe over the airwaves with his game right now.
We've been built around small guards. Somebody being physically dominant is not something we're used to.
Let me ask you this. I always want to play fair and try to kind of both sides it a little bit for the crowd that's still a little maybe questioning this. What is an area of concern or area that you're like, hey, I still think maybe this is a spot where he needs to improve? What would that be, having watched him?
I'd say in the half court offensively, he's still got some room to grow. The Wizards played really fast this past year. They were number one in the league in pace. And when he was coming out of the draft, that was the first thing that stood out to me when I watched his film, was just his speed and his control and his court vision when he was on the move in transition. But, in the half court, they've tried to work him in as like a point forward, especially late in the year when they've had injuries to their point guards. They've even had him play point guard a few games. And when things get crowded, he kind of struggles a little bit with turnovers. He's not quite as good as getting to the rim. So when it's in open space, he's great. But if he's on a team, and I don't know where the pace or the Blazers were in pace last year, but, that's, I think, the next step for him, because he put up really good numbers last year, both in terms of volume and efficiency. But I think a lot of it was the product of the way the Wizards played. So, when things slow down, especially, as we all know, if you get to the playoffs, things definitely slow down. Can he have that same impact? Can he have the same impact when he's on a team that has better offensive scoring options around him and he's not, one of the top guys? That's what I think we'll have to watch in the coming years.
Interesting.
We've never been fast. They've always said they want to be fast. We've never been fast.
So maybe this will help get us over the hump. Great stuff, man. Great insight. Chase Hughes. Go give him a follow on Twitter at ChaseDC Sports. Part of the Wizards broadcasting crew and covering the NBA draft and the Wizards for a long time. Thanks so much for the time out in Portland, man. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good stuff. Chase Hughes, with good praise, man, on the newest Blazer. They obviously added two guys yesterday, Klingon, but Avdia was the first one, and a guy that is probably going to make an impact right away and should make an impact right away. Doesn't think that last year's offensive production was an outlier. Think it's a building block for the direction that he's going. A good defender. That's about as good of a review as you could get from somebody who's covered him closely for the last 4 years.
They're trying to find culture, right? And one of the things I think you got with culture with Cronin and at least the Crone zone is guys to compete. He said it last night, like, we're bringing Klingon in because we want a team of ultra competitors. I think of New York when I think of something like that. And I don't know if that's where this team is yet, obviously, but knowing you got a guy that wants to be the hardest worker on a team and do whatever it can and put in the sweat equity, and he's 6'9". Yeah, I mean, I continue to like that trade.
So let's wrap up our conversation on this Thursday, get you set for day 2 of the NBA draft, and
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. It's been a fun show. I always love the post-draft show. It's one of the easiest ones of the year.
We won a championship, man.
We won a title yesterday. We're feeling good. Hang a banner. Are we winning another one in Vegas? We are the dynasty of Summer League, are we not?
The Klinger might do it.
The Klinger could do it.
Oh, definitely. You got to put odds on Klingen to be Summer League MVP. That's
dominate
what
the
we
dojo.
produce in Portland is Summer League MVPs.
This is what we do, baby.
I will say when Chase was describing Avdia's game, I did see swag perk up in a way that I haven't seen in years.
You excited over there, Swigard? You feeling good?
I was just thinking about, okay, how many times did I see Scoot out on a break with nobody next to him, trying to finish through 3 guys? So I know he wants to play fast.
Yeah.
This guy wants to play fast.
Yeah.
I think Shaden would love to play fast. So just finally, maybe we'll see the Blazers actually follow through on wanting to be a transition team.
The next questions that I have for the offseason are, will I be able to watch them on television next year?
I mean, it's June. Can we talk about that in August?
Well, I'm just bringing it up. You got a
brought
team
it up
now that
yesterday. All you do is bring this
you
up.
got a team.
I also don't have cable, by the way.
Yeah, I want to be able to watch the local team. That'd be great. I don't
you
have
get season tickets and shut up.
Yeah, I'm not going to do
Get
that.
that Ken Barkley money.
I'd rather burn money. I hope I'm able to watch. Young team, Klingen. I think you're going to make some other trades that I'm a fan of. So you got me back in, at least curious to watch and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, will I be able to actually do that? It's a big question for me in my life.
Well, and I think for anybody that's like skeptical and doesn't buy it and is like trying to act like we're taking this to a level that I don't think we really are. All legitimacy is they're not going to be very good still.
They shouldn't be. I want them to be the worst team in the NBA next year.
Well, they won't be, but they'll be really bad. And I think the part of it for me is like, this is what kind of does get you to watch a 26-win team. It's this.
Yes.
It's seeing Klingen develop.
Young guys.
It's seeing Avdia. It's seeing what Scoot is year 2. Sharp staying healthy, hopefully for year 3.
Can a distinctive style of play be developed?
Well, that's the other thing. You don't have a coach.
And that Sprague has said that throughout the day. The one big bummer is it feels like we're not in sync there.
It's a lame duck year, and I didn't want to. Never mind.
Do it, Dirt. Do it. Go down that road.
I'm not sure Chauncey's really that is excited about doing this for one more year.
Of course he's not. He knows he's going to get fired.
Yeah.
He knows that if they wanted to keep him around long-term.
It wouldn't be fired. It would be not picking up an option and parting ways.
If they wanted him to be around long-term, they would have picked up the option by now. They don't. He knows that they're going to win 20 games next year.
Yeah.
He knows that they're openly tanking, and he's not going to be kept around. They're not going to pick up his option. We all know how this is going to play out.
I know.
Which is why it's so frustrating that Jody just doesn't simply say, here's $5 million. Thanks for your 3 years. Let's find somebody that can grow and develop with our young core of players that we are now clearly building around Scoot, Shaden, Avdia, Klingen, whoever else they get today, whatever other moves that they make. Let's start piecing this thing back together instead of having a year where you're not going to develop the culture and style of play with a head coach who's going to be around long-term with the young guys.
Very quickly, because I want to get your Duck football jersey reaction since all we've talked about is the Blazers and basketball.
Yeah.
Should I...
That's what I did yesterday.
Really?
I loved them, yeah.
I don't think they're awful, but
here comes Beaver Sprague. Gonna poo-poo the unis. Oh, can't wait to hear. Sports bras over there. Didn't like them, huh?
Yeah, we got rid of them. We didn't bring them back. Should I follow Burt Cold back on Twitter?
Burt Cold followed you on Twitter?
Late last night. And I thought, is this a man? Really?
Sure, why not? What does Burt Cold tweet?
I would be more curious about that than anything else.
Should I DM him? Thanks for the follow, Bert.
Hey, Bert.
Let's share stories of college.
Hey, Bert, I'll be Ernie.
Scrub my back.
Rubber ducky.
Bert, why are you so mad, Bert? Is it because we're in a relationship and we can't tell anybody?
I think that's a follow back. Follow him back.
Okay.
See, let's get Bert on the show.
I knew that they were in a relationship when I was a child.
Yeah,
and I was like, why don't you guys just
didn't take long to figure that one out.
You like them, though?
I love them, dude. I love them. Okay, love them. I like the connection to the past. The diamond plate bringing it back's great. Wings are cool. I got zero issues with them.
I was curious what direction they were going to go with them because it was kind of being teased.
Yeah.
They had the Phil Knight thing that they sent out, but
yeah, they've been teasing this for a while.
Yeah, I like
That's
the diamond
just one.
plate.
We got other ones coming too.
I got to be honest, I like the diamond plate.
The diamond plate's the heyday of Oregon football. I mean, those are great.
I have bad flashbacks of those feathers.
Yeah, the feathers were a thing. I'm not as big on the feathers. I'm glad that the diamond plate's on there.
Yeah.
The diamond plate was a must.
Not as bad as putting the goose on the court instead of an actual duck.
Oh, God. Would you shut up?
Did you notice that?
Would you shut up over there? Hey, that'll do it for us. Swag's going to be here tomorrow, breaking down round 2 of the NBA draft. We're both off.
A swaggy edition of Dirt and Spray?
Edition.
It's a producer's edition. All the producers.
That's right. The producers edition.
Here. Who knows? You might get some NHL day 1 draft previews as well.
There you go.
Can you not? Okay.
There you go.
You do whatever you want to do.
I said maybe.
Maybe. He's not guaranteeing it. Maybe. That will do it for us, folks. I'm off to play in a golf tournament. Sprague's off for the weekend. So we will talk to you all on Monday. Thanks, everybody, for YouTube numbers have been great. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Go check the podcast. 3 great guests today. Awesome show. Fun show. Thanks for being a part of it. We will talk to you Monday at 6 a.m. Calling us next. Listen to 1080 The Fan.
I'm Trista Crick with BetQL.
comfort, performance tires for sporty handling, all-terrain tires for on and off-road adventure. Go to TireRack.com to get started. Not sure where to begin? Use the Tire Decision Guide to get a personalized tire recommendation. The right tires for how, what, and where you drive. Choose from the full line of Yokohama tires. Ship fast and free to a recommended installer near you. Or choose the convenience of mobile tire installation. They'll bring your new tires to your home or office and install them on site. Doesn't get much easier than that. Go to TireRack.com/Colin to see their Yokohama test results, tire ratings, and consumer reviews. And be sure to check out all the current special offers. Great tires and a great deal. What more could you ask for? That's TireRack.com/Colin. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.